mama, call your papa, call your friends. The festivities are about to begin. Boom!
Hello. Oh man. All right. We are here. We are live. Rocking a new shirt. This because the camera is mirrored, so you don't see it well, but this is Earth. EARTH. So if you had a mirror, look at the screen with a mirror and the shirt. Shout out to everybody. Thank you all for being here, man. I appreciate it. I'm sorry for being away for a few days, but we all have a life. We need to take care of personal issues and business. Fight with our own demons, which ain't easy, but trying to do it and surviving. Shout out to the frogs. The frogs are fine. Thank you for asking. Mabbit. Shout out to Squeaky Earth. Squeaky Earth is good. I must click this, minimize this. Shout out to Squeaky Earth is good. Yeah, there we go. Nigga. Happy. And thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate it. RT96, Kuso, C4, Martin, Turnstein 2, Fred Bailey, Patio Furniture, Citizen 9, Stefan Mod, Real Cygnus, No Name, Sean Smith, thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. 16 of you with 11 thumbs up. Did you see all the little likes emojis? I went like this, and I was pointing to one like this. So make sure to do this and hit a like under this video. Hey, MC Toon, hello, are you new? We are all new. MC Toon came in to say hello, I am new. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. My sweet voice comes together with my new Earth shirt. I must switch camera because you guys gotta see this. Sweet. Where is it? Where's flip flop? Right here. Look at that. How about now, Earth? The only frontier. Or is it? Yo. Let's do this view for this view. Perspective view for Squeaky Earth. There we go. Just for you guys. We got all kinds of other Earths. We got this one is the rumbling Earth. This one rumbles. Shout out to the climbing man. We got another Earth in here, and then we got this glass. And as I usually do, like in the final thoughts, I'm gonna do it now. Sorry for the lagginess of the camera. Oh well. Like I have done a few times. I want to show you that this Earth, oh, the other side. This Earth is the same size as this Earth. See? Look, pretty much the same size as this Earth. This Earth and this Earth are the same size. See? But what if I tell you that this Earth and this Earth are the same size also? Well, you don't believe me? You got it opposite. There you go, that's the way. There you go, you see? Earth, we can do a an eclipse and all with this shit. See, it's pretty much the same size. When one is close and one is further, this is when we got all kinds of size Earths. But you already knew that. This is just for specific people. Big Earth. Just like this, the globe. This is the same size as this. Believe me? There you go. There you go. Just the same size as the squeaky globe Earth. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Frogs like it. If the frogs like it, I like it. And I got one question for you. If when we see a sunrise and a sunset, I'm gonna point. This is my finger. Before that, remember guys, I'm gonna show you how to PayPal me. If we go to the watch page, right? I'm gonna show you how to do it. If we go to the watch page, we are watching this live stream. Let me pause it so we don't get any feedback. If we go to the chat box, there's this link on screen in the top right of the chat box. If you click there, there is a link that you should be able to click and support the channel and help the boom like that. This is how it shows. You send and then type the amount that you would like to send me to help the channel and ask you how to super chat. Well, you go to the bottom of the chat box and there is a dollar sign down here. You click on that and you can send a super sticker with a nice emoji. You can send a super chat for whatever amount you want. You can type a comment, question, concerns, and or you can become a member. Become a responsible troll. Support the boom. There you go, and that's how you do it. Thank you very much. That's the how to. We already have Farmer's Boy and Nestle wipes in the house. I'm gonna tell you something, right? That direction is where the sun comes out of in the morning, right? There are trees, there are houses and buildings. But if I point when the sun rises, I can point that direction. And I keep pointing at the sun, and I keep pointing, and this is roughly at noon. The sun, I'll be pointing at the sun directly up. And if I continue to point and point and point, that is where the sun sets. Now, after I point at the sunset, it makes sense to me, to my head, to my brain. The only way that it can work, if I continue pointing at the sun, if I literally could see through the earth and through the sun, I will continue to point at the sun, point at the sun. There's going to be one point during the night, hours into the night, that I'm going to be pointing directly down, and that will be where the sun is. And I will continue to point at the sun path if I had X-rays views, and then what will happen at any point? Pop! We get a sunrise again, and then that will continue. That is a cycle. So this is the sun. If you have another explanation, if I'll be pointing the sunrise, I'll be pointing at noon, I'll be pointing at the sunset, what happens there when the sun is about to hit the horizon and starting to disappear from the bottom up until we don't see it anymore, until it goes away? Do you think that the sun then is going to go up and there, and then it's going to go to a trajectory this way, slightly above the horizon, and then it's going to come back up again, and then it's going to do the same path? Or do you think when the sun is about to set and starting to appear to look that it goes down, disappear from the bottom up until it goes around, do you think the sun reaches the point and slightly above the horizon, it goes around this way, slightly above the horizon, this way, until it reaches that point, and then it comes back up? That is my question to you. Please help me out. I need somebody either with a drawing, a diagram. If you just tell me words, oh, the sun just goes away and it appears. No. I want physicality where you're pointing at the sun. What happens when it's gonna look like it goes under the horizon? Does it go this way? Does it go that way? Or does it continue going down and around and then come back up? Please help a brother out. Damn it. Boom. How you doing, farmers? Nestle Wipes. What's up?
How's it going, mate?
Good.
I'm all over your first explanation.
Please go ahead. What do you think? You think that makes sense, that it goes in a round path, like around?
Well, it does from our point of view because, of course, it's us and the planet that's turning, that's rotating, and this has been demonstrated. And I'm sure it was probably Wolfie that done it with an equatorial mount and his camera, or I'm sure it was a camera, not a telescope, and he locked it onto the sun. And then during the course of 24 hours, it follows the sun across the sky, and then it starts pointing at the ground, and it carries on pointing at the ground. And bugger me if the sun doesn't come up in the same place the next day. Well, that's magic.
I mean, like, what other...
doesn't just go away. That's bollocks.
What other way besides those two the explanation that I gave? I mean, could be. I mean, besides this around, and if I thought that was perspective because the sun is just going in a straight path, so it appears to go down. What happens in that point? I mean, it's not just going to go away because I'm pointing at it, but it's going to be in the morning and the sun is coming back up. So that the sun just went away, disappeared, and then we got a new sun over here? Or do we have to follow the same sun around above the horizon, either to the left or to the right, so it can come back up from the same area? It's an honest question that I have. Nobody in years have been able to point at the sun. What is the path of the sun if I want to physically point at it? No. I mean, in the non-globers side.
Correct. Yes. Many people have just sort of thrown words at it, but nothing they've ever, I think, explained is probably too loose a word. Nothing they've ever come with actually matches what we see. I'm sorry, if you can't explain sunrise and sunset, then what the hell are you doing? Forget all of this measuring this and measuring that and experiments and everything else. Just tell us what the sun's doing.
That's all I want.
But tell us in such a way that it matches what we see. Because we all see the same bloody thing, but this very small minority of people have very strange explanations of it.
I mean, you can make shit up as you wish. You can, but don't tell me that shit that you're making up, it is happening in reality. You can make all the shit up, but is it real? What you are attempting to tell me? That's the...
Well, exactly. I mean, we've had various. Well, we had Dearth on here, didn't we? And he said, when I asked him what happens to the sun when it sets, and he said it just goes away. No, it doesn't just go away.
Go away, and so it's going away, and then it happened. Well, the monster eats it, and then we got a brand new sun in the morning. Every single individual, that thing happened. What's going on?
They come up with all this nonsense about how it gets smaller. No, it doesn't. You watch it through a solar filter. The most you get is just as it's hitting the horizon, and it's got more atmosphere, and it gets a bit refracted. But the overall size of the sun in any given day doesn't change. And that is enough to tell you that it's not the sun that's moving. It's us.
We got Earth is Live, the Stingray. Earth is Live, what do you think? Did you see my pointing at the sunrise and the sunset example? I wish that somebody could tell me how that works, if not on a globe, going around.
I love your example.
It's so silly and so simple.
Probably the most easiest and simplest way to understand it. But I do know somebody who would disagree with farmers with your the sun doesn't change in angular size. I know somebody who would disagree with that.
Yeah, but he only quotes it changing. Is it horizontally and not vertically, or is it the other way?
Vertically.
He only claims
it changes vertically.
I'll be happy
because of the refraction, isn't it?
I'll be happy, and in order to move the argument forward, and actually they give me the physicality that the occasion, I'll tell them the sun, it gets so small to a pinprick. So what happens? I know it's there. It's just gonna look very small to me. Where is it? Where does it go? Still, I need you to point at me. Where did the sun go? You cannot go away. Get away with the argument, even though they have always done for years.
Then the argument turns into, well, we don't know what the sun is. And we don't
But
know how the
still,
sky works.
yeah, still they got to point at me. How am I looking at it? I mean, they can say, well, we're going to see, all right, yeah, a sunrise, we continue the sunset, and then all of a sudden, I'm not going to point at it because it is, I mean, the light behavior is magical, but we know that in the morning it's going to come up. That's what they can say. We're going to do this, and then I'm just going to wait till the morning, and then it's going to come back up again. So we're going to do this, close the fist, we're gonna do this, like a magical thing. Whatever happens from that point until it reaches this point is nobody knows. That's what they can say.
I mean, that's probably the easiest way to understand it. I don't know how you could explain it to anybody else any easier.
Just get up high, very high, as high as you can, and watch a sunset and try and figure out why it's below your vision.
But
Why
below
you
eye
have
level,
to
exactly.
point down.
Yeah.
The thing, Ray, is it complicated the way that I explain the sunrise, sunset, and the path of the sun? That I wish somebody could either turn their camera on or do an easy drawing of the path of the sun.
Well, the problem is, I think I've shown it a few times, and I use Sydney as an example. But I can use my location or your location as an example. Doesn't actually matter at all. On the flat Earth model, I can plot visually where the sun is for you through your day. I can absolutely do that, 100%, and it won't even change angular size. Problem is, it will hit the ocean at both sides, and you are dead in the center of it. And if you move or visit another state, that's fucked.
Now, you can ask, and I think they will be 100% so inflated and willing to answer if you answer them, well, in the North Pole, like this guy, the flat earthers have gone to the north, close to the North Pole, and they have recorded the 24-hour sun. If I ask you to point at the sun in the North Pole, oh yes, look at the sun. And in 24 hours, the sun goes like this. Look, I'm pointing at it, and this is what the sun does. And then it will continue, and it will do this. So why can't you do that from any other part of the world where it's not a 24-hour sun? So you be pointing, there's going to be a point that you're going to be pointing, and if the sun is going this path, that's where you're fucked up. So you're going to be able to tell me that the sun is going around like this. Why can't you tell me what happens when the sun is going this way? You're going to stop there and you're going to tell me? No, they won't.
I've got an answer.
Right.
Actually. I've got
Go
an
ahead.
answer of why there are no flat earthers that do that. Because if a flat earther ever does that and works out the angles and plots it and tries to draw it, they're no longer a flat earther. You only get left with the people that can't be asked and believe so blindly in their cult that they're not going to do that. So that's why you're just left with the people that just won't do it.
And I think that's what we're left with now. That's kind of what everyone else that has been in this argument has probably disappeared and gone away. But the ones that are just going to continue to blindly believe the Earth is flat, that's the ones that are left now.
It's something so
That's how I believe.
easy. Yeah, something so easy to give an answer to. If you say, I don't know, I mean, then something is off, because if you don't know, then how something that happens in all our lifetime for generations every single day, unless it's very cloudy. Still, there's a sunrise, there's a sunset, even if you don't see it because of cloud. There's something that happens every day, and if you are unable to explain it somehow, to point at it. Because if you want to point at the moon, oh, look at the moon. Yeah, I see the moon. Yeah, what happens with the moon? What is the path of the moon when it reaches the point? Does it go like what happens with it? Oh, it's going away. So in the morning it's going to come up from this way again. So what's going on? Is it going this way? Is it going that way? Because it never go under the horizon, right? Then you're going to have to say that the moon is reaching a point above the horizon and it's going to go somewhere, either to the right or either to the left, either way, and then it's going to come back up from the same location. It is mind blowing.
It's got to go to the right. It's got to go to the right. Or you got to see. You'd have to observe it eventually turning slightly to the right if it's circling above above us like that. We should be able to get up really high and be able to see that. Oh, it's going away all of a sudden. Oh, now there it is. It's turning to the right, And at midnight, I should be able to look north and see the sun. And then in the morning, up here comes the sun again around my shoulder.
A little bit mind-blowing. Tweet say that Karen B took a video of the sunrise over the Atlantic Ocean from the East Coast and clearly shows it rising at full size, not coming in from the east and getting larger. That's Karen B.
Yeah. Exactly what we'd expect to see.
Shout out to everybody watching. Everybody can join the festivities in here, the show. This is a hangout where you exchange ideas and talk about good stuff that is entertaining. Nothing that affects you in the real life. It's just it gets annoying sometimes, when people is just so dishonest to not answer direct questions and try to send something with a little bit of yum substance,
Well, you've got a lot of fluff.
I predict, I could be wrong, but I predict that someone's going to come in here and tell us that the sun does change in angular size because Wolfie6020 and Bob, the science guy, showed it in their videos.
Oh, who could that possibly be?
Let's say that.
Sorry, can I just test something? Because this is actually for Gary and Lemon if they ever turned up. But it'll be the first time I've tested it. So can I just share something?
Yes, you can. Now, if this person want to join and they say, but before we get to there, the sun changes in angular size. I will gladly say, yeah, let's talk about that after we point at the pad, and then we'll talk about the shrinking. I gave it to you. Yes, the sun changes in angular size every day, all day long. Tell me what is the pad, and then we can go back and talk about the angular size, You are up. Great.
Okay, yeah. So it's just an example of perspective, but it also outlines a way that you can actually test whether the Earth is flat or not, and it's by creating a parallel line. So these are actually quartz, kitchen samples that are all the same height. However, and this is the magic, if I switch to another camera feed that's a long way away, no, sorry, this one's a long way away. If I switch to another camera feed that's closer,
anytime now.
Yay.
Yeah. Now, I pressed the wrong number of buttons, but there you go. They're actually, they're nowhere near each other. But it doesn't actually. It doesn't actually alter. Obviously, the camera that's way, way, way over there, it's actually 200. It's actually down the other end of my office, and it's a Canon 7200 at max focal length as well. This one. Let me switch back to it. Yeah, that one. It's a hell of a long way away. And it's lined up perfectly via. Wait a minute, I've got to do this. Via the up and down desk that can go up.
You just did this to show all your kit off.
I know, but it's lined up perfectly on the top, which means it doesn't matter where these are; they're going to line up with the top end of.
Slide one back and forth, like in front of all of them and behind all of them.
Sorry, say that again.
Could you just slide one like behind, like all the way forward and backward? Yeah, there you go. Yep, all the way to the front. Yep, still the same. Yep. Perfect.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing that flat earthers have to explain is something magical happens on their flat plane. This one, moving away, even though the camera's dead in line with the top of it, starts to go down somehow, and it gets lower and lower and lower, intersecting, and I can't push it down because it's a flat surface.
Exactly.
CGI. Clearly. Plus, there's no rubber bands.
Yeah, the rubber bands explain everything. Gotta remember that.
Yeah.
Cameras look good, don't they?
The what?
Cameras look good. This one as well. This one here, I can actually. Oh, wait a minute. Let's do this. I can actually do this with it. Ooh, look at that.
Ooh, like
Lemonade.
that.
Yeah, good quality.
Look, there goes the flat earth proof right there. Water lies flat.
It's actually curving up at the edges.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
see
but
it.
it lies flat.
Water is due to perspective.
Now, are those two cameras the same size that you tested? We got to talk about camera size.
So no, one of them is a full frame 35mm equivalent DSLR, and the other is a slightly bigger than APC size. It's called Micro Four Thirds sensor cinema camera. So they are not the same size. The lenses aren't the same size. The focal lengths aren't the same. Obviously, nothing is same about the cameras, except if I wanted to, I could put both of them at a distance where the focal length overlaps and produce exactly the same image, albeit probably in a different color hue, because the DSLR and the cinema camera will be slightly different in tone.
Okay.
Yep, we got a bunch of people here. There's a link for Discord in the description box on the video. But we have right now Blue Marble Science just joined, also Shike, Discord user, Doofus Manfred, Curtis Live, Farmer's Boy, Fred the Magnificent, Nestle Wipes, and Dustin Gray.
Yes, I see the Cavendish got moved.
The Cavendish got moved? What did
I didn't get a chance to watch that yet. Blue.
Blue's Cavendish experiment got moved out of the room it was in the university because they're remodeling or something. So they had to take it apart and move it, and then when they're done, they'll move it back in and put it back together again, I guess.
Are you going to be there for when they put it back together, Blue? Or
Oh yeah, I'll go back down.
Okay.
After they get the remodel done on the lab. That was the plan all along. Unfortunately, the lab was supposed to get remodeled last year, and they ran out of time. Just didn't happen. So I was then faced with the choice of keeping it here for another 9 months, which I really was not interested in, or taking it down there, setting it up, letting them get a little run time on it, knowing that we'd have to go down and take it apart, and then go back and put it back together. But it's only a couple hours work, so it's no big deal.
So they have kept you in the loop, updated on locations and on what is being done with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good.
We talk frequently. They've gotten really excellent results, and they actually got better results than I got.
Oh yeah.
I think it's just amazing that something that you created is going to get used by students for years to come.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me very proud. It really does.
And I don't think, is there another one in the world kind of like that one, which was built to the same specifications as the actual Cavendish, or close to?
Not that I'm aware of. I can't say that there isn't one. Maybe there is. I just don't know about it. The only thing close are just scale models. People have built little scale models of the thing, but usually when you see Cavendish, it doesn't look anything like the original. So I think this one is fairly unique in that regard. Actually got to be about half crazy to want to build this silly thing.
I think they should open a room next to that one in the university and put the other Cavendish experiments, like the Chris Berry with the dumbbells. They can put Riley's eggs next to it and stuff like that.
Here's how to do it incorrectly.
Yeah.
Well, there have been a lot of people that showed us how to do it the wrong way. No doubt about that. But yeah, I got a little short video if you want to play it, Jose.
Hell yeah, man. It's in your channel.
I'll stick it in the chat here so you can find
please.
it.
Yeah, well, I'm already screen sharing, so if you guys want to start checking on my screen share, that's what it's gonna be of it. Well, give it a play. Take it from there. Or if you want to screen share, either or. Oh, let me know in what room did you throw it. Let it once. There you go. All
There you go.
right. All right. Let me pop this open. I'm gonna, when this is playing, I'm gonna mute myself. A little bit of a hot mic. Neighbor would make across the street and stuff. So here it is. And before I play it, I am going to throw a link in the YouTube chat box because that'll be better if people actually click and play from the original source. I'm just sharing it here in case you are unable to do that, then watch it on my stream. But if you can, click and watch this 3 minutes 40 seconds video, please click and do it in the original source. I'm gonna click the thumbs up. Here we go. Oh, it's unlisted, but still I shared it. I'm sorry, but hopefully it's not no problem with that, Blue. All right, play it in 3, 2, 1.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to Blue Marble Science. On Saturday, May the 7th, 2022, a couple of friends of mine and I went down to the University of Tennessee to dismantle Cavendish and move it to a temporary storage location while the lab that it's in is being remodeled over the summer. Now, some of the flat earthers have tried to say that Cavendish wasn't even at the University of Tennessee. Watch the very brief video that follows, and I think that's going to remove all doubt. So hopefully that's recording. We'll see if it is or not. That would be the Nielsen Physics building. You can recognize it by that thing on the front. Let's go walk in.
Okay. My sources tell me this is... I'm good, buddy. Oh, wait, need help. Need help. Do we need to wear a mask?
Here we go.
Linear algebra and differential equations in the dead of summer with no air conditioning. Do they have air conditioning in that building yet?
I think so. They renovated it.
No. I'm gonna get with the times.
I'll be sure to fuzz all this out so we don't give anybody directions.
We're used to it.
I think it was a treat.
What's it say?
Physics Honors Day ceremony.
Oh, cool.
Undergraduate, graduate awards for outstanding academic achievement. Research, service. You should get an honorary one of those.
Oh, wow. It's emptied out since we were here last.
Yeah. It was up to lunch yesterday and
That's awesome.
So there's Cavendish.
It exists.
Right here where I said it was. We weren't kidding, were we? And now I'll just show you a few still shots while Cavendish was being disassembled. It's all tucked away safe and sound for the summer. And when they finish the lab remodel, we'll go back down, put it back together, and it will be ready to teach the students in the fall semester of 2022. So, hey, thanks for watching.
Blue, are those guys part of the university team or people with you that know how to disassemble and they're kind of, working with you disassembling?
That's a couple of friends of mine that
Right.
were actually there when they helped me take it down there. They helped me transport it. So they're familiar with it. And they don't mind donating. They're both UT graduates. So they're quite
Very
happy.
cool. Is it a little bit painful and like your heart pounding a little bit, like, man, if one of these pieces get busted or breaks or something falls, you can everything will not work as it should, You're a little nervous while breaking it down and put it back together, I guess.
No, not at all. There's nothing we could do to it that I can't fix. So
Cool. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. If I build it once, I think I could build it again.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, thanks for showing that. Seriously, people have, Rakia Life, for one, has constantly insinuated that UT didn't even have the thing. He claims he's called down there, talked to people. Nobody knows anything about it. Well, all I can say to that, Rakia, is bullshit. Tell me now it's not sitting at the University of Tennessee. I think we put that one to rest.
Right, and not every person on campus in various departments is going to know about what every single activity on campus is or what equipment people have. So it's kind of silly to call random people on campus and hope they know about it.
Well, yeah. Right. Part of the problem may be that they have been forewarned that there are crazy bastards like Rakia that would want to call up and just irritate them and waste their time. So it's quite likely whoever he talked to was well aware, but chose not to divulge any more information than they had to.
Right.
And most of those,
let's call it.
Most of those professors don't. They're rarely in their offices anyway. They don't answer their office phones. They use their cell phones. So, and nobody gives out those cell phone numbers. I'm not about to. I've got all of them, but nobody's going to get them out of me because I know what kind of a nuisance and pain in the ass people like Rocky could be. He's worried the shit out of LIGO. He'll call and talk to anybody from the gate guard to the janitorial staff, That's just the way those guys are. But anyway, yeah, it was a fun day. It only took about an hour and a half to take it apart. And it'll take about the same to put it back together once they get the room remodeled.
It is interesting how much time those people will mention, like the Bev crew, how much time they will waste of other people's time and not spend enough time to actually investigate, seek out the information that they're constantly calling into question.
Yep, exactly.
That's not what they're in it for. They're not in it for the information. That's the point.
No.
Yeah, it's worse than that. It's just like Dr. Bob's video. It's they're calling you a liar, or saying Wolfie is a liar. Wolfie's not really a pilot. You didn't really do the Cavendish.
Yeah.
That's their last straw.
Yeah.
When in doubt, just call it fake.
Yeah, I mean, but that one is particularly laughable when they say, Wolfie's not a real pilot. And he's filming himself in the cockpit of a plane that he's flying at 40,000 feet. And they go, yeah, he's not a real pilot. Yeah, right, okay. If that's all you've got, why don't you all just fuck off?
or they call the main surveyor not a real surveyor.
Oh, yeah, that's the one that I think Bev refuses to refer to as a surveyor. I think he just calls him the gentleman or the bloke from Maine. He won't even say the word surveyor because it's totally anathema to him.
No, he's claimed that Jesse Kozlowski is not a surveyor too.
Right. Nor Larry. Yeah. not Jesse or Larry. They don't know anything about surveying. They've never done anything related to it.
Right, they're professional, qualified surveyors, and yet, yeah, according to Bev, they know nothing. Because of course he's a fully professional, qualified. Oh, hang on, no, he's not. Shit.
Gotta love that, man. That I don't know if I would call it. It's not dishonesty. I had a word, specific word for people who are just they deny when something is in their noses. It's obvious, something tangible. This is a plant that I'm holding. No, Jose, you're not holding a plant. That is not a plant. You don't have a plant. Seeing something in my hands that is obvious, it's evident, and they say it's not. It's a word for this people like that, but are just.
There's several words for people like that, but that's probably not the word you're trying to think of.
Yeah, several terms. Sorry, but go ahead.
The word I prefer is dipshits.
Yep. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, contradictory and argumentative. I know there's another one too.
I just want to take issue with something Blue just said. I think you're insulting dipshits.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you would be correct. I am. I should retract that. To all you dipshits out there, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, if you really want to insult a dipshit, just call him a flat earther.
Oh, that's low. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's lower than the snake's belly. Blimey.
The attacks are amazing. But when they get down to the point of the stuff they've accused me of, and Wolfie and Jesse and others, when the argument boils down to that, they don't have an argument anymore.
There's a man devil. That's a good word. Contrarians. I play the contrarian a lot of times, but it's just one of my personalities. But it's just a game for me. They actually are contrarian. Most of them.
Yeah, that summed up Gleam, didn't it? He was a contrarian because he would fight for either side depending on who he was arguing with at the time.
Yeah, I think people that grow up to be contrarians, where as children they're oppositional defiant. It's like, it's bedtime. I don't. It's just you say up and they say down. Doesn't matter who's right. They're gonna be the opposite.
Yeah, when you're an adult because you're not fighting bedtime anymore. You're actually looking forward to it because you're knackered. You're not. Oh, can I just stay up another half hour? It's like, fuck it, I'm going to bed. I'm knackered.
Well, you have to be careful calling people dipshit, Blue, because as a dipshit, no name is offended.
Yeah, I just saw that. I'm sorry, no name.
Yeah, and the alter ego. When I'm all contrarian, that's the alter ego that I'm using. The Glimisk alter ego.
Yes,
just play contrarian.
Glimisk, yes. Because he would, if he was arguing against us, he'd be a flat earther. And they said, well, I argue against flat earthers as well. Well, you are just a basic contrarian then. It all depends on who you're arguing with at the time, and you'll just take the opposite view. There's one guy who'd never nailed his colours to the mast,
They are also potatoes. I call them potatoes. They're like there, like sometimes they rot, sometimes you eat them, different styles. It's just something. It's just a something there, like an inanimate object that you can do as you wish with it.
Yeah, but potatoes are useful and you can do a lot with them. What can you do with a flat earther? Except point and laugh.
Well, but you can also play with potatoes, like hot potato, and you just pass the potato,
I don't know why, but I've now got this strong urge to have a jacket potato, and it's a bugger because I ain't got any spuds in the house. Oh.
You can also play with a fluff.
Well,
exactly, just like potatoes. Yeah, just like potatoes.
One fluff, two fluffs, three fluffs, four fluffs. 4 fluffs, 4.
Earth
I'll shut up. See?
And as we know, potatoes don't have a lot of them. Most of them don't have faces. Like they are like one of the same. They are some bigger. They are some smaller. They are some darker. They are some lighter. It's like, but they are all like potatoes. You know, it's not a specific characteristic to them.
Multiculturalism
I mean,
gone right.
there's no specific facial structure to them. So it's like all flat-earthers are potatoes. It's like a lump.
You'll be amazed, Jose.
We
That's
peel them with our
exactly.
metal knives.
Fred, relax, Fred.
You'll be amazed, Jose. That's exactly what potatoes think about us.
Yeah, man. I wish I could.
We all look the same. Nothing distinctive about anyone.
Potatoist.
So hold on is saying so shallow shit will be a milder word than shallow shit. I not understanding where that come from. Sorry.
I think he's possibly suggesting it's a milder word than using dipshit.
Yeah, I get it. He's confusing
now I
dip
got it,
and deep. He thinks deep is dip. It's not deep. It's DIP.
Dip.
Yes. Shallow shit is a
Yeah,
milder
if
or
you're gonna use
lighter.
bad words, use them right.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know what a deep shit is. That sounds terrifying.
And there's a lot of avatars this corner of the YouTube. But I find, I don't know, from my perspective, I find more avatars in the flat earth community.
Well, you can be in deep shit, no doubt, but you can't be deep shit.
Yeah, you can be in it or you can be it. Sean Smith has been a member for 3 months. Responsible troll. He say, I prefer the term willfully ignorant. That is it. Really good one too.
Well, yes, that does describe them very well. Absolute refusal to learn anything, to accept anything that goes against their frankly bizarre worldview.
There's a Bibble, you shared flight QF63 is a May 10th that's tomorrow, from Sydney to Johannesburg. And we got a time when it's going to depart and arrive. And what does that mean? If in a flat earth, straight path will be in this map from Sydney to Johannesburg in Africa down here, very, very south of Africa. Will it add up time-wise, or was now we got over here in the globe how we would? Now, if you are advocate for this type of AE map type of thing, unless you want to rearrange the continents in a different way, this is the path. Unless you had a different map or you got a different continent rearrangement.
That appears to be flying over a vast chunk of Africa.
Very big chunk.
Saudi Arabia.
Asia, Europe.
India and or Pakistan, not quite sure there. China, probably a bit of Russia, maybe.
Yeah, unless you want to do a kind of a pad from the outside over here in the top.
Well, that just makes it even worse, doesn't it? I mean, that just makes the trip huge. So that's the problem with any of these flat Earth maps, projections. The southern hemisphere just gets totally screwed up.
So time-wise, what is it? What's the time? 5 hours, almost 5 hours. Let's round it up to 5 hours.
Sydney to Joburg, I bet it's more than that.
6 hours.
Is that local time?
I mean, those are local times. So.
They've got to be local times because that's going to take more than 5 or 6 hours to.
Okay, yeah. I would like to know what was the time.
And you can't fly over Russia nowadays.
No, people are generally avoiding that for obvious reasons.
But didn't Elon Musk create a tunnel from Joburg to Sydney
yet.
with his with his boring
Hyperloop,
company?
the Hyperloop.
I believe his Hyperloop is under some exhibition centre in the States, and it's almost
That's gonna
bloody
It's
war.
gonna be it's gonna be working in like 500 years. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Bibble, what's the time?
So the estimated duration is 11 hours and 31 minutes.
That sounds more like it. Yeah.
11 and a half hours. And that is taking a direct path on us on a globe.
Yes.
Yes, because why wouldn't you?
And so the speed, well, the average speed is about 485 knots.
Right.
So
Yeah,
in miles per
100.
hour, what would that be in miles per hour? Roughly.
I just rounded up to 500 miles, just to top of my. No, I know it's more or less.
550 or so.
Right.
So 550, right?
And disclaimer: this straight path that we see here, this is not a straight horizontal flat path. This is a great circle path over the surface of the earth, which is straight. Yes, it is a straight path. It's not deviating to the left, it's not deviating to the right, but it's a straight path over the surface of the earth, which makes a great circle, just in case somebody attempts to say something.
Yeah. So the distance between these two places is about 6,868 miles. That's roughly. I couldn't exactly find the airport. I probably could just Google the airport in Johannesburg and get the exact distance, but that's about close. So
Let's
if you
round that
divide
up.
that distance,
Let's round it up to 6,606, so we can make the 666 right there.
it's 6,868. That's the rough distance.
Yeah, it is a straight path. It is a straight path because we're not deviating to the left, we're not deviating to the right. It is a straight path over the surface of the.
Yeah. So if you divide 6,868 by about 550 miles per hour, you get about 12.48 hours.
There's an 8-hour time difference between Johannesburg and.
Yeah. But the duration of the flight is you just use an average speed, about 12 hours.
Are you sure that this flight is going over water all the time?
Pretty much the entire time, yeah.
Unless you fly above maybe some little tiny, like little pieces of land, little tiny islands in between. Like you might be able to see a little bit something that is in here, maybe a little bit something somewhere around.
I don't think there's that much out there, is it?
Yeah, maybe you'll be able to see a little bit of from the distance, little dot chunks of little lands. But it's definitely not going over a big chunk of Africa and a big chunk of this Europe and all these places, right? I mean, it's not going over none of it. In reality, in real life.
Yeah, you'd be on the plane looking out the window the whole time, and you'll see you look down and see water.
Yeah. Well, Jose, if you went to Flight Tracker 24 on your PC, you can see. I think there's one flying right now. It's literally in the air right now.
Let's have a look.
And this is one of those flights that kind of destroys the flat Earth, and no one wants to pay attention to it.
Oh, we have a QFA 64 that's right out in the middle of the Indian Ocean.
Yep. It's like a little bit less than halfway.
There it is.
Where's the link for that?
Here, I'll see if I can. Yeah.
Is that you, Shaik? I think Shaik shared that.
There you go, Daily Boom. There's the link to this particular flight. At the moment, it's travelled 75 kilometres, and it's got 7,420 to go.
There you go. And as I say, you will be flying to a little bit, maybe you will see some little planets.
No, I don't think you will.
You
I
won't see
don't-
this little piece of land.
I don't think there's anything. The nearest thing is the French Southern and Antarctic land.
What is this right here? This little piece of land. I'm sharing my screen and hopefully you can see.
Uh,
There is a little piece of land that is flying very close over. You should be able to see it. Like mid-flight, almost.
The flight plan I've got doesn't show it being anywhere near that. Maybe, excuse me, maybe you might be able to.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
But
Now, from this angle, because it's drawn on a, you know, the rearrangement and the map.
Language? What
Because-
language are you looking at?
I don't know, but the map is straight. The map is in certain way that this path is showing as a curved path right here. But if it was on a globe, if it was on a globe, and you were looking at the globe as a different angle, it would be a straight line. If you were able to visualize 3D 3D view of it.
Yeah, this looks like a Mercator projection, isn't it?
I have no idea. Thank you, Shaik, for sharing this on your language.
It's currently 4 feet under 37,000 feet at a ground speed of 509 knots.
Let me look at Farmer's Boy link over here. Let's see what we got.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
Take the cookies. There you go. That's the kiddie. That's what I'm watching at the moment. So there it is, out in the middle of nowhere.
And it's going from down here.
Yep.
It will be heading
all the way across to Sydney.
You see, right now it's very close to that little island, probably.
There is some
details.
The Kerguelen Islands. I really are.
I have a question. If we can track planes so well and so perfectly, why have we had 2 jets go missing the past 10 years?
Something. Well, it's it's because the Earth is a globe.
Yeah, the train probably really big.
They're not being tracked by radar. They're being tracked by the signal coming from the aircraft. And if you decide to turn that off for any reason, you'll just disappear.
And plus, 10 years ago was before they got the satellites up.
Yeah, but one of them flew very, very low. Gets far enough away, you can't have communication with it.
The way they tracked the Malaysian guys was through the engine reports of the satellite.
But yes,
so now that this equipment exists, we're never going to lose another plane again.
Not necessarily.
I wish that we were able to change the map, the map like an azimuth, thing, or a different map like butterfly map to put this route. But it just can't.
You probably could if you actually bought the upgrade for this website, but
yeah, I think there's a different software where you can actually look at it on a globe.
I suspect so, but that would require paying money.
Yeah, I can put like hybrid, black and white, radar, dark, like terrain. Very cool. Anamorphic Mind with a $5 super chat. Chike is not the Glover we need, but the one we deserve. Oh, Chike, look at that. Very cool, isn't that? Thank you, Anamorphic Mind. All right, and that's for the flight. Yeah, it's definitely not. This flight is definitely not going up, going for a big chunk of all this land and then coming back down to reach his destination in Australia. Definitely not doing that.
Nope.
Okay, just double checking. So it's not following a path like this going over a bunch of land. It's going a path more like over water. Thank you, people. Appreciate it.
And yeah, if you do map that out on an AE map, you're curving the whole time, and you're really going the long way, and that flight's taking a lot more fuel, and it's physically impossible.
Yeah, they actually fly this route a few times a week, I believe.
Oh, and of course, they're not going to see anything anyway because it's dark.
Yeah.
It's not in daylight hours. Certainly not at the moment. So you won't get much view out the window anyway.
I mean, the best explanation that we can have from non-glober proponent, from a globe denier proponent, is that the rearrangement of the continents does not necessarily have to be like the AE map. The rearrangement of the continents and the land masses is different. That's the best they can say, even though they cannot give us any visuals of those that they think it can be. So they think it can be something, but they are unable to present that something that could be, but there's no evidence.
No, you can't, because if that doesn't even work. Even if you do that, you can move the continents around, but then you still have the oceans. So no, it does. There's no matter how you rearrange it, it only gets worse.
But if I can rearrange it in a map, however I want, I will. Even if I put one all the way in the left of the AE and one all the way in the right of the AE, and not put any land in between, and throw a line that adds up the thousands of miles and the time, the duration, I can make it work, even if it doesn't make sense in any other part of the world for anything else.
Like, see, as soon as you try and rearrange the continents to make it fit, there's always going to be one distance or one or two distances that are going to be completely off. Right. So if you move South Africa closer to Australia, then it's going to be the distance from another continent is going to be off. All the other distance is going to be wrong.
Exactly. It's a knockoff effect, a butterfly effect. You can't change one part of the globe without changing the whole.
Hey, Farmers Boy, that's a great map. I wonder why all those yellow planes are lined up on that nice little curve between England and the United States.
Because I thought, let's just see what's going on over the North Atlantic, and look, there's the Great Circle route that takes you. Most of those planes will be coming in and out of Heathrow in London and backwards and forwards to the US. I wonder why they just don't go in a straight line right across the middle of the Atlantic.
Straight line,
I wonder why.
Yeah. Oh, by the way,
shout out to Puerto Rico. I see it right here.
That island you're looking at, Jose, is Kerguelen, and you don't want to go there. There's basically nothing there but like 12 people and a bunch of penguins, I think.
It doesn't look very hospitable, I have to admit.
Another thing I saw is that the QF64 takes about 11.5 hours, but the QF63 take between 13 and 14 hours.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the return flight. Yeah. Yep.
Is Earth rotating under it or something?
Could be.
Let's go with winds, which is caused by Earth rotation, but that's another issue.
You posted an image a few minutes ago, the 8 minutes after the hour NASA shield, from a different angle, like the straight path of this flight.
Right, that's from Google Earth. I just plotted it and rotated it on. You can see it's a straight line.
And this is just your lines, your stuff right here.
That's correct. But if you look, the line goes right to the north.
Yeah,
of
it's straight,
pretty
much. Yeah,
it's a straight line.
Exactly, and if you look from a different orientation of the globe, if you were able to visualize it in 3D, it will be a curve down, or depends, if you move it up, it will be a curve up. So it's if and I doubt the flat earthers and globbers can see and visualize things in 3D, but if you were able to, you see the curve of the path of this map.
Well, I know that the flat earthers aren't, because that one flight that went from South America to Darwin, where they repatriated a bunch of people a couple months ago, and it dipped into Antarctica for a little bit, and as it went to Antarctica, if you watched it, it appeared that it sped up. It actually crossed the meridian lines south over in Antarctica faster. And the reason it did that is because it was still going the same speed. It's just that because everything is so splayed out there, that it actually has to travel faster on your visual. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. Here's another one. Blue Marble did it. And with a better projection.
Yes, you can sort of see that paler blue is the submerged peninsula that those islands are jutting out from. I believe they're all volcanic in origin.
Well, this guy has a great point. A smile is that curved line that put everything straight. Thank you very much. Always.
Yeah, if you go to Google Earth and then just draw the line, and then like Blue did, just kind of, push it, if you will, rotate the Earth northbound. You can cause that curve that you see. You can make that curve look like that. Can make the straight line appear to be curved.
Well, of course.
And in reality, as seen from this angle, this is still a straight. I mean, it is straight path, the direct path, direct, travel.
Yeah, that's the same line.
Yeah.
I just rotated the Earth a little bit.
I
Looking at it from a different angle.
I don't think there are many planes out there. They probably have the sky pretty much all to themselves today.
No, I would think so.
It certainly appear that way. There's nothing else showing up on the tracker at the moment.
It's definitely not the North Atlantic.
I mean, I had forgotten just, when you start looking at that bottom part of the Indian Ocean, I mean, there is just this. It's a huge expanse of nothingness, isn't it? Other than these two little groups of islands that are even close to Antarctica.
You got Kerguelen there, which you don't want to go to, and even a little bit south of that is Heard Island, and you definitely don't want to go there. That's just a volcano covered in ice.
Oh, yeah, so it is, yeah.
And then, what's a smaller one? There's even a smaller one out there.
So small it doesn't even seem to have a name. But I mean, they're all volcanoes, aren't they? Because that entire feature there is volcanic. Or as they called it, igneous.
Yeah, McDonald Island, which is even smaller.
I want to say a big thank you to you, person that I think is it you, Nestle Wipes, who sent me a few dollars on PayPal, like $12?
Yeah, that was me.
That's really cool, man. I like it. He sent me a gift, like a nice card, high-fiving, something to say thanks for stuff, man. That's really cool. I appreciate that, brother. Something to say thanks. You earned it. It's a high-fiving cat. Hail to the yeah. Shout out to you, brother.
What sort of equipment are they?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I'm looking at the same thing, Blue.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Is that a 747?
I don't know. I'm looking.
Flight that we're looking at. What, QFA 64 is come on, I had it somewhere. It's 787-9 Dreamliner.
That's a 2-engine airplane. My God.
Yes, going all the way over that Indian Ocean with just the engines.
They're a long way from nowhere if one of those engines goes out.
Yeah.
And also let's remember that an airline's is a business. They're not going to spend one more drop of fuel than they have to.
Oh, it's I suppose like all of these, the 9 is a lengthened version of the 8. Typically seats 296 passengers over a 7,635 nautical mile range.
Not. Are
Oh, look.
flat earthers too scared to talk about this? Shout out to Mandeville.
Oh, look, in Flight Aware, they even got the coordinates listed. You could plot this. So they're not flying exactly the Great Circle route, probably because of ETOPS.
Guys, don't keep it to yourself. You gotta share
Yeah,
what you're looking at in the Daily Boom so we can.
I would say, to your question, Jose, I would say yeah, because every time I've brought it up, it usually gets brushed over or talked over, or no one really wants to address it. I think the only person that really tried to address it was Lemon.
Okay, all right.
He's like everyone seems to want to talk about refraction to the atmosphere and seeing things too far and things getting smushed in perspective. Put your camera 1 foot above the water so we can argue about refractive conditions.
Yeah.
Look over here to my left hand. And then you're doing all kinds of tricks in the right.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
John Stock with a $2 Australian super chat. John Stock, thank you very much, man. Flatty's best tool is Google Earth. How ironic that is.
Yes.
Indeed. I gotta step away for like 5 minutes, guys. I'm gonna leave an image up. I'll be back very shortly. I gotta eat something. It's that time of the day. I'll be back soon.
That's a lot of fuel that plane carries.
Yeah,
Just
simply put,
over 101 tons of fuel.
Simply put, this flight would take a hell of a lot longer on flat Earth.
Oh god, yeah. Well, you'd never be able to do it. It's too far. You couldn't do it in one hop.
And I don't think there's an airplane that would hold that much fuel.
They're flying ETOPS plus 330. Oh my god.
I mean, this carries 126,000 litres. That's 101.5 tons of fuel. That's almost. It's not quite. Its operating empty weight is 135.5 tons, and it can carry 101.5 tons of fuel.
These guys are doing ETOPS.
Try and figure out what that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
These guys are doing ETOPS plus 330, which means they have 5 hours and 30 minutes on a single engine. So basically, they fly halfway. It fails. I go.
Try and figure out the distance between those two airports on flat Earth.
Well, I suspect it's got to be a damn sight more than the range of this particular aircraft is 7,635 nautical miles. That distance on the flat Earth map's got to be way more than that. I mean, it takes you up over Africa, Saudi, Pakistan. I mean, no, it don't work.
Yeah, you'd be over land most of the time.
Well, exactly. And this flight isn't over land. Once it takes off, that's it. It's the Indian Ocean until it hits Australia. So you'd only have to, if it's daylight, you'd only have to look out the window and go, why can we see land? Well, you can't. You can't see land because you're not flying over it.
We're talking about between 10 and 15,000 miles, right? Roughly.
Probably, yeah. I mean, that on the flat Earth map, if it takes off from Joburg, it's going up the eastern coast of Africa. It probably either Saudi or it crosses over the Yemen, Pakistan, Nepal, China, and then I think it's coming back down over the Philippines and coming over the sort of the northeastern part of Australia down to Sydney, and it just doesn't do that. It just doesn't fly that way at all.
So they'll just deny that the flight even exists, and everyone on the flight, including the crew, are all liars.
Yeah,
Right,
they're all
right.
on it. They're all in on it.
Just for shits and giggles, right? Let's say it's 15,000 miles. At 550 miles per hour, it would take 27 hours.
Yeah, and that's double the range that this aircraft has got on the single fuel load. Blimey, Fred, what are you doing?
I'm doing stuff. I'm thinking. I think they might have compressed air and they can fly forever.
Oh, don't you start that nonsense. Fucking jet engines running on compressed air, yeah, and stupid. Yeah.
What machine? What energy is being used to compress it?
Well, exactly.
Flatulence.
I love doing this. So to get there, all right. So 15,000 miles, right? To get there in 15 hours, it would take about. It would have to be doing 1,000 miles an hour.
Yep, which you can't do.
Let me see.
As an alternative, we can build the AE map based on the distances of flight.
Yeah, problem is it'll
But
end
then
up
you
being a
still
globe.
you still have to bend it to be a globe. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll end up being a globe.
The answer is no. Basically, virtually every version of any map projection that you could possibly think of has already been done. Just look it up. There's a huge list on Wikipedia. It's like we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Just figure out how it works.
Are you sure? Are you sure we don't need to? Are you sure it doesn't? The wheel should actually have instead of one side, actually have 20.
Yeah, there hasn't been any new map projections in a while.
No.
You can do it. You can shift the center of the AE map and put it wherever you want, but it's still an AE map.
Well, there is that one projection where it's a flat map, but it's like both sides. It's like probably the most accurate flat map. Has anyone seen that?
Yes,
that's
a good one.
I think I've seen most of them.
Yeah, it's got the projection of the
every single.
It's got a projection of northern hemisphere and then one of the southern hemisphere put together.
Yeah, that's a good map too.
I'll stick with the globe. It works.
Yeah, like I said, the bad blue. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, the distances and the time travel between places is, I mean, the math doesn't lie.
No.
In fact, when you look up all of these projections, you'll notice these yellow circles on it. And those yellow circles show you how much distortion there is in those particular sections.
It took me about 11 hours from Israel to United States, and if you draw the line, it's not half of this line.
Israel to the U.S. in 11 hours?
Yeah, and back about 10.
We
flew over Sweden and Iceland for some reason.
What part of the U.S. did you go to?
New York.
Tel Aviv to New York. Huh?
Yeah. Over Sweden, as I recall, and I saw Iceland below me, so yeah.
Yeah, there you go. 4 flights per day, 11 hours, 55 minutes duration. Tel Aviv to New York. About 5,700 miles.
I don't think
there are. Go ahead.
I don't think they fly that far north now, but that's what it was back then.
There are occasional flights. So, for example, I've flown from Frankfurt to Anchorage, Alaska, 9 hours, 9.5 hours. It goes practically over the North Pole. Saw Greenland. It was wonderful. Done it twice. So that's pretty fast because you're just basically crossing the Arctic instead of the Atlantic. It's faster.
Okay. Yeah, Tel Aviv to New York would be about 5,000 nautical miles. I've never done that as a direct flight. Hell, who flies that? El Al?
Yeah, around. Well,
okay.
The expensive option.
Yeah, but I never flew on El Al all that often either. I usually flew Delta or American.
Oh, yeah. Hello, American, United, Delta.
And most of the time it was through Paris or Frankfurt.
Ah, Gay Paris.
Maybe USA have an agreement with them. Or was it just or was it a stop or a relay?
The American flights were just a stop. You didn't change planes. The Delta flights actually was a plane change, as I recall. But the hell, I haven't done this in 20 years or more. American would be routed through Paris. Delta would normally go through Frankfurt.
I'm surprised Gary hasn't showed up to tell us how wrong we are.
He did. He disappeared again.
Who?
Oh, I bet if we start talking about narrow angles and perspective.
Yeah, he was in here a little while ago, but he didn't say anything, and he's obviously dropped again. So,
in fact, doesn't he still owe us a diagram for that last Qantas flight?
Yeah, he doesn't like to talk about flights.
That's not his.
Well, it was one of those things that he promises one day, and then the next day that conversation never happened. That was several months ago when that Qantas flight, repatriation flight, he was working on a diagram of that. I do recall.
Yeah, I think I asked him about that. I asked him if we were gonna get a chance to talk about it, and he never wanted to talk about it. If it's not about perspective and things disappearing from the bottom up over water or over a flat surface, then he's not going to respond to it.
Yeah, a lot of them are doing that now. They've each got their own particular little thing, and they don't like straying away from it.
Expertise.
Well, I suppose if you're going to really sort of go all out to be incredibly stupid and moronic about something, it pays to concentrate on that particular thing, doesn't it? And that way, you won't possibly put up anything that's different to what another flat earther is saying. You know, so if you stick to your thing and they stick to their thing, then you should be okay. Because God forbid you say something that contradicts what one of the others has stated.
Yep, stick to your guns, flatties.
That's why, can't believe I'm going to say his name. That's why Travis always goes on about the ether band. everybody drink, and nothing else. If you try to argue about anything else with him, he'll say, "No, that's not what I'm arguing. That's not what I'm talking about."
Did you see what Did you see what Sean Hawkins did?
About this publication or whatever on a website.
Yeah, it got taken down.
Yes, I did.
What?
You know, Travis had written this article that was published on a website. I can't remember the bloody somebody out there.
Hyperphysics.
Yeah. And it turns out that the guy who was responsible for that, or that particular website was sort of probably, how do we put this, on Travis's side.
Or Travis was schmoozing up to him.
Yeah, quite, yes. But then when a certain Mr. Hawkins pointed out to somebody else there that, do you know this shite's being posted on your website, you know, it was taken down.
Oh.
I come in peace.
Shoot to kill.
Sorry. Someone got that reference. Unbelievable.
Klingons on the starboard bow.
It's life, Jim, but not as we know it.
As we know it. I come in peace, shoot to kill.
Shoot to kill. Shoot to kill, man. That's a great song.
Isn't it just Star Trek?
Hey, someone is lurking and ready to pounce. Who is it?
Flat Earth Data.
Oh, God.
Welcome, Fed man.
I think it might be time to go and put the kettle on.
Sorry, farmers, before you go, no, and Hugh, what you were just on about then, I can actually complete it and do the song where it goes Star Trek across the universe.
Yes,
but wait a minute, please tell me what it's from, because that's really annoying me now.
Oh, what it's from?
The song is called Star Trekking.
Star Trekking. It's
and it's by The Firm.
The Firm.
Oh,
that's it. And it was all done. It was all like animated in like plasticine. Yeah, it's a song.
Yes, it was
The
stop
Firm.
frame animation.
It's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Not as we know it. Not as we know it.
That's
It's life,
the one.
Jim.
You cannot take them all. What is it? What was the Scotty one?
Oh God.
What was the Scotty one?
I can't. I'm going to have to listen to this on YouTube.
I know what it is. I know what it is. You cannot break the laws of physics. You cannot break the laws of physics, Captain. Such excellence.
Klingons on the starboard bow. Scrape it off, Jim.
Scrape it off, Jim. Love that one. That's just utter genius.
We come in peace, shoot to kill.
Shoot to kill. So, you know why they invented the Vulcan death grip? Because Leonard Nimoy said in a scene he was meant to get a phaser and strike a man over the head to knock him out. And he said, well, I don't know if Vulcans would do that. So he said, let's invent something. Maybe he's an alien. We don't know anything about aliens. He can do anything. Maybe you could just pinch him a certain nerve and they'll just fall over, and that would be, and that'll be his thing. And so that's where it came from.
All right, good. Thank you, guys. I am back. I want to do two things. First, big shout out to everybody watching. If you haven't hit the thumbs up yet, please make sure to click like under this video. We got a lot of people here. Let's consider that we must have self-awareness of how much we'll be speaking around, because now we might get a little bit of excitement, a little bit of hype, because we are just joined by Flat Earth Data. Hopefully if you want to, talk to us and hang out, hopefully he's able to talk to us for a little bit. But I expect from everybody not to go crazy and interrupt too much in between people's, but that is considering self-awareness of how long we'll be speaking versus what people want to answer or address, and the back and forward. Let's try to make it the open panel, dynamic, entertaining. Hopefully, is it going to be a shit show? Hopefully not. But if it happens, it happens. Hopefully it's not a shit show that anybody can understand. Hopefully, if it's a shit show, if it becomes one, hopefully it's an under control show, that that we
Right.
can blow up the fire with a small extinguisher. We don't need to
Right.
call
We
the
just,
the
I
firemen.
just want to say really quick. If you do start talking, you have to allow someone to respond. I know you're pretty long
No,
winded
you
when you
don't.
make
You don't
them.
have to do that at all.
Wait, say that again.
I'm just kidding.
VA live.
That was funny.
Yeah, shout out to everybody.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people, and good to see you. There's a few people. Zanik, you haven't been here. You've been here maybe a handful of times, maybe not, but good to see you around here, man.
Yeah, thank you. No, I haven't been in a while. In fact, I lost your icon. It just popped up on my screen, so I got it again. Thanks.
Cool. Good looking out, man.
How do I?
That's awesome.
Welcome back, yeah, everybody. Here.
Goes
The
Zanik.
chat. Which chat are we in?
Just
Is
a
the Daily
second.
Boom uncensored?
Hold on,
Which
guys.
chat are we?
Daily Boom uncensored, yeah, and I'll throw YouTube. Well, everybody should already know that we are on YouTube. Yeah, Daily Boom uncensored.
Just want to tell Zanik, he was right. You can use the level both sides, and I was right. It is curved inside, so we're both right.
I thought so. It had me thinking for a long time after that. I guess it makes it more accurate, a little more accurate or easier to use when it's curved, but it still works either way, right? Is that the answer?
No.
Oh, then I get it wrong then. So how am I right?
If it was, let's scale it up. Let's say it's a mile long level, and
Right.
if you level it, which way the bubble wants to go if it's flat?
You put a bubble somewhere in the middle, and it just stays wherever it is.
Why?
I think you have to have. I think it has to respond to change. That's how it probably works.
Okay, let's say it was on one of the sides, and we leveled it. Where would it want to go?
Depending on the speed at which you straighten it out,
Which side are higher than the other?
your angular velocity will determine where it ends up.
Guys, I got it. I'm sorry, I got an easier question that I want to bring up, and I would like Flat Earth Data. If he's here, I'm gonna turn on my camera so I can present him a little something, and he can maybe help me out with. I have a something inside me. That something doesn't add up. Hopefully, Flat Earth Data is able to see my camera. We got in this path. I got a point where the sun rises for me. Is over there. I mean, in the horizon, and over here is where the sun sets. Turn my camera on. So we got sunrise and we got the sunset. Opposite ways, right? So if I point at the sun, my finger, and I draw a line, I see the sun. The sun is going to be roughly noon. I'm going to be pointing at the sun, and I'm going to keep pointing, and there's going to be where the sun set. Right there. Now I got an issue because I know that tomorrow early in the morning, the sun will come up from over here again. But when the sun is about to set, if we are not on a globe, because in a globe, I will follow the path of the sun, and there's going to be 1 point hours after it gets dark that I'm going to be pointing directly to my feet. And if I could see through the earth, through everything, the sun is going to be daytime for other people over there. And then I continue to point my finger until it's sunrise again. But on a flat earth, when I reach this point, I got a question. What does the sun do? Does it keep going? Wait, does it keep going away and away? And then all of a sudden, like, poof, disappear and then appear right here? Or does the sun, when it reaches to the sunset, slightly above the horizon, does this path, and then when it reaches this point, and then we got the sunrise again. Or when it reaches the horizon, slightly above the horizon, because even though it looks like it's going behind and under the water until it disappears from the bottom up, it's had to be slightly above the horizon, and then we'll continue going over here until we got the sunrise again.
Yeah, Jose, I got to give it to you. Jose, I got to give it to you. That's the first time I've heard that, and that we rarely hear good objections.
It makes sense, right?
We've been doing this for so long. Hold on, we've been doing it for so long. That is the first time I've heard that, and that's actually brilliant. That's actually really good.
But it makes sense. I mean, and we can have it if you can either turn on the camera or do a cartoon, do a drawing, do something. In a drawing, it's going to be harder because it's going to have to do this flat plane and some kind of a 3D line, and then you're going to have to do this kind of a little sideways view. do a circle, and then the sun is going to come above and maybe go around this way and then come back up again.
Yeah, for
That's
12
you.
hours.
Yeah,
for 12
that's
hours. For 12 hours, it goes over your head, and the other 12 hours it makes your turn. What happens, right?
But in reality, I mean, we're gonna reach this sunset, and then the sun will continue. This will be the path of the sun until we get the sunrise again. Please, non-global person, if you want to explain it to me, I pointed that earlier today.
Okay.
I've been thinking
Well,
about this for a long
you're
time.
going to
Go
have
ahead,
to.
man.
You're going to have to beg the question, right, on what the sun is doing and what the path is going to take, either observation. So, in your particular
observation, observe it. We observe it.
don't
We see it.
interrupt. Don't interrupt. Please let me finish. I just started talking. I just started talking. Please don't interrupt me. So, if you're going to make an assumption, you're going to have to make an assumption regardless of whatever model it is. Now, what I've displayed that effect that you're describing is from the understanding that a small individual has a perspective, limited field of view. Okay, and that limited field of view is over a large plane Earth. Now, if in this case you want to take Blender and use this as an example in Blender, is take a field of view dome, put it over that individual, and then put a sun in appearing to go in a straight path over top of that field of view that has refraction in it. In this case, let's say we Blender and then we cut off half a circle. We throw a field of view over that 6-foot observer, which is an 18-mile circumference. And then we make that sphere a glass, right? So that when objects go over it, it appears to arc, but it's actually, in fact, the sun is traveling in a straight path over it. But because of our small position of where we're located and the difference between terrestrial and celestial, you have the illusion that it's following the path due to perspective. And reality, it's taking an alternate path. And of course, we're trying to quantify that for measurement, which we've done with a protractor. A protractor is an example of our field of view.
Are you able to point to the path of the sun? If you were able to show an image or an illustration of the path of the sun, like I pointed, like in the North Pole when let me make this quick point. Let me make this quick point. When the marble went and took footage of the North Pole and this 24-hour sun, you're able to point at the sun. You do this loop-de-loop around, like drawing a halo in the air. You do this path of the sun. Are you able to do this when the sun is? We got a sunrise and a sunset, and then we got nighttime.
You still have an apparent noon in the north, right? You're still going to have an apparent noon, right? It's just not. Is it completely a zenith to you? You still, even if you're in the North Pole, you're still going to have a zenith position, polar noon sighting. So it doesn't matter where you are. You have a noon sighting throughout, which means that it would have to be flat, parallel, so that you would get the arcing. Because it's one or the other. It's either take out the refraction, and then you don't have any arcing, and anything is actually physical patterns in the circles that we describe, or everything above us is flat, and then you add in refraction, then we got everything that appears to be curved. And the protractor is an example of that. I think is just understanding our field of view and our perspective and quantifying flat space in a refracted environment, right?
Do we have an actual noon if we got an apparent noon? Oh, what's going on?
So, well, everything is apparent because it's due to optics and due to perspective, limited angle view. That's why you have this apparent junction. And this which proves, in return, to get a junction, you need parallel flat space. Because how else do you get an apparent junction when things are joining? They need to be actually physically apart, but due to some optical effect, you have them joining. And that is why you need flat space with refraction to get the patterns that we see.
You said something interesting. You said at the North Pole, when the sun is at zenith, there is no time when the sun is at zenith.
I'm saying there has to be still a solar noon if you're somewhere in the North Pole. You're not actually at the location of the North Pole, are you? Because I've never seen any footage of anybody directly above the North Pole ever in history. I'm saying the footage that we've seen, there's still going to be solar noon in all those positions. There's some
How do you know?
Well, that's what's documented, right?
Well, 360-degree sun, where's the solar noon at? Where
well, you have to go there and make that kind of observation, right? I'm saying if there's well, then there has to be solar noon in all points of position on Earth, which means it would have to be flat. And then because we have the arcing, so you're
would it be?
Physically arcing, or it's due to refraction that's arcing.
Where would it be?
I think it's due to refraction that's arcing.
If I have a video of the sun going all the way around, where would it be, Data? Where would you say solar noon would be? I have an answer. I'm sure other
go
people
there.
do too.
I can't answer that. I'm not
I
looking
have
at
the
the data.
video.
I'm not even
It
analyzing.
looks like you're there. That's
Sure.
why they say
But
having a
again,
video
I
is like,
didn't shoot
oh
it.
my
I'm not
God,
making an
you got
observation.
to stop talking occasionally. Take a breath.
The point is, the solar noon exists everywhere on
where would
the
it
Earth.
be?
That's how you would
Where would it
navigate
be?
using the sun.
Okay, how about this? Where would solar noon be in Iceland?
Breathe.
I don't know, but anyway, you're
Where would
obfuscating from the
solar
point I
noon
gave.
be in Iceland?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
you
gave you
should
an
know.
example.
You seem to
I
know
gave you
so
an
much about.
example. I gave you an
yeah, there's a
example of
little
how
bit
it
of
could.
obfuscation of the. Oh, there's an obfuscation of the actual point. Are you able to point a path of the sun when we get a sunrise? We point to the sun with our fingers, and then when it reaches toward the sunset, can you draw a path in the air of you if you were pointing physically at the sun? From what path? From is the sunset till the sunrise? Where did the sun goes? Can you point at it? Even it has to be
I'm
above
going to
the
give you.
horizon, right?
I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a practical example that you can, or an example that
Do
you
you
can
have
do
an
for yourself.
illustration? Let's put the illustration, and then you talk about it.
Listen. You can do it yourself. I know this is going to sound
You don't have
silly,
an
but you can do it. I already did it. It was on my channel a long time ago in Blender. I already showed examples of it. But the point is, I'm just going to verbally describe it to you, and something you can do right now for yourself.
All right, I'll try
Take
to.
Take any jar, flip it upside down, so you got a relative curved edges. And if you notice, when you remove a direct sun over it, you're going to get these arching patterns that you see, right? Just as an example, right? So if you're under the presupposition that the sun is moving along a path, you don't know that path, but it's subjected to refraction, which is a medium change with light traveling through, then you're going to have these arc effects. Of course, this is a presupposition, but you can demonstrate this presupposition by taking a flashlight or a telephone and moving it in a straight path above this jar, and you'll see that the light will appear to arc. So if you're inside the jar, let's say, and you're an observer looking up through this refraction, and you see a sun that's moving straight, but it's moving through refraction, it's going to appear to arc, just in that demonstration would show.
So I'm pointing. I'm following.
No, that's not what refraction does.
The way I visualize it. So the way I visualize it, I still see a sunrise and a sunset, and I'm pointing at it. Even if it's going a straight path, I pointing at an arc above my head. When it reaches this horizon, where is the sun? Where am I pointing at?
You'd have to do it. You'd have to do it yourself to see, because again, you're making an assumption of 1, 2. Like you said, is it a Mercator map, where it's like a Pac-Man sun, or is it making a circular path?
In reality, me pointing at the sun.
So in reality, your model's not localizing the.
I'm
you're
not
saying
talking about model. I'm talking about reality. Where am I pointing at? Am I pointing 45 degrees? Am I pointing straight in front of my head? Am I pointing up above my head?
Reality says the Earth is a stationary plane.
It doesn't matter
what
what
reality states.
I just want to say the path of the sun. What am I pointing at?
Celestially, listen, the Earth, terrestrially, it says the Earth is a plane. Celestially, it appears that the Earth is not a sun, or not a plane.
Where am I pointing at? Under my feet, or never I'm going to be pointing under my feet to point at the actual sun when it's dark at night?
Well, here's the thing. You can take that model reference that you describe, make it small scale, and you can observe what I observe, which is field of view perspective. The assumption that the path is making the assumption that we see visually that the sun's making one path is not necessarily because we see it visually making that path, due to the refraction effects of the atmosphere that we're in celestially.
That's not refraction.
Celestially. So, in other words, I'll give you an example. The reason why I think this way is because I was researching Bernard Riemann, who's the guy that helped Einstein create special theory of relativity. Basically, he says that terrestrial Earth, there's mathematical functions like Euclidean and mathematical formulas that work fine, but celestially they need something more. They cannot do certain calculations and certain theories without even in general relativity. There's no gravity. The first model, it's flat space. The second one has gravity. It's caused by bending of space time, but you need a mathematical equation with time, which Riemannian geometry and manifold equations come out, right? So the point is, you still have. Wait, let me finish. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I know, but I'm almost done. I'm almost done, dude. So the point is that you have a person in academia that recognizes the limitations based on perception, how you perceive one element of mathematics and equations and what's applicable in reality. Well, there's a limitations to some mathematics in reality because there's applied mathematics and then there's theoretical mathematics.
That sounded like the end. Yeah.
So let me finish, man.
That sounded
Let me
like the end
finish.
right there.
You
Yeah.
almost
Let
finished
me
30
finish.
seconds ago.
Yeah. That sounded like
I know,
the
but
end.
I'm almost done. I'm like 10 seconds
No,
away.
you're not.
All right, 10
90
seconds.
seconds.
All right, shadow everybody. 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Hey.
So the point is that you have if you cannot get outside of your terrestrial environment, and you're limited on the measurement tools, you have to create another coordinate system to go outside of the system that we're in. And that's what Bernard Riemann did, and that's what we're discussing here: is how to get outside of the system that we're limited to. So I'm saying we're limited. There is no way to get out of the system.
Yeah, I gave you 7 extra seconds. Yeah, I gave you 7 extra seconds of those 10 that you say you were almost done. Wait,
exactly what I said.
quickly, I just want to say a big thank you to John Stock, $2 But a jar that you mentioned, a jar that is solid and air is gas. Somebody wanted to. Who was Zanik? You didn't agree with anything he said. I think refraction. Something?
No. Refractive effects.
I can't
through
remember
gases.
what he said. It was all
Refraction
one big
effects
sentence.
through gases. Okay, so you want to talk instead? Go ahead. Okay,
Go ahead, Zanik.
talk. Okay, so refractive effects don't work. It's a light path through a differential medium with an angle of attack. You have to have an angle of attack, and over a curved surface, that angle of attack is constantly changing. That's why they use calculus to figure out these ray tracing values along any point in its path. So no, you don't look up and see something in one spot and then like 90 degrees opposed. That's where it really is due to refraction. Refraction is just not this catch-all answer when you're really confused about. And Jose, that was just brilliant. It goes over. You look at it at the sunrise. You point it at sunset. It's gone. For 12 hours it went in a straight path, and you could plot it by time and know exactly where it's going to be at any point in time, except for the very end of its path before we don't see it any longer, where the refraction value slows ever so slightly is progression across the sky. And then suddenly, the next morning, 12 hours later, same time it took to go for the span of the sky, next morning, it pops up in the entire other direction. So as Jose eloquently explained, where does it go after it disappears? Does it go around in circles? And then flat Earth day is making up a world in a jar, and the light above the jar is refracting in the jar, and suddenly it's going straight one way, and then at some point it makes a 180 and curves around and pops up in the other area. I mean,
yeah, it's very hard to imagine. It has to be physically illustrated, like in paper, in a drawing, in a program, or with yourself, like I did.
Very easy to understand, Jose. Listen, it's very easy to understand. Take
flatter data. For
very
you,
easy to understand.
For you is wait, but
I'm going to give you a demonstration.
But before you do it, I need to say this. For you, you say it's very easy to understand. Now, it is for you very hard to explain because I am unable to understand it. We are all here unable to understand it. It's either very hard for you to explain it, and almost done. You are 100% unable to put that in a drawing or a paper or a video or a demonstration. You are 100% unable to demonstrate that.
Okay, so no, I'm not. I told you I did a demonstration in Blender to show the effects. But again, it's based on a presupposition, which is I have to assume the path of the sun and what the effects are taking place. Now, we both understand that as a light is in one medium and goes through another, there's going to be a pivot change in the light, the direction that the light takes. It's going to change. Now, fundamentally, the idea is that it changes when it changes density, which could be due to cold temperature changes. So light will hit a different medium, change direction. That effect works in both models.
Nope, that's not how it works.
How they're applied, let me finish. How they're applied is different, or conceptually at least. For some reason, you can't imagine a field of view. Like I said, and I gave you a size 18-mile field of view because it's based on a radius of 3 miles, which is fundamentally based in your model, claiming that the horizon is at 3 miles. So I'm just using that as a base to give you an understanding of what a field of view is. So if you're a 6-foot person and you drew a bubble over your head, which let's call it a protractor, and you're at the middle of that protractor at the 90, right at the perpendicular point, and that area that is above your head, that field of view, and anything above it will appear to take on a path that appears to arc and curve due to this refraction.
How refraction works though? It doesn't work like that.
So that's why you claim, that's why even
There's
in
no
your model,
refraction straight up.
that's why even in claiming your model at 12 noon, there's very little refraction, but above 15 degrees, you don't want to do any measurements below that because of the refraction. So it's there, it happens. So if you were to take that principle in effect, and again, put your bubble over you like a protractor and move a light object, and you can do this by practical demonstration without a blender. Take a clear, crystal clear jar that's got a good round bottom, turn off all the lights, take your phone and fly the phone over top of the jar just to see the effect of how the light would react
Which has a much higher instance of refraction than.
I'm just giving you an example of what you can observe because the principles are the same. It will appear that the sun. It will appear that the sun is taking one path. Meanwhile, it's not actually taking that path. That's the idea of the observation. It can be demonstrated in Blender. I already said this once, Jose, and I said it's the second time pretty much the same way, concisely. It's demonstratable. You can observe it. But again, you have to presuppose what the path of the sun is and the distance between you and the sun and what it is.
Okay, Zenek, you made a good point there. I liked where you're going with it, with the solar noon. Can you continue?
Quick, 5
The point
seconds.
was-
5 seconds.
Go ahead.
Quick shout out to Sean Smith. Thank you, my friend, for the $10 on PayPal. He said, Jose, thank you for all these years on entertainment and education. Thank you, brother. Appreciate that. Boom.
I like.
I
The
would
fact
like
he was
an-
using Riemann geometry to explain the flat Earth.
Right,
You know,
right.
Oh, for fuck's
Right,
sake.
like Sonic. Sonic was asked a question.
Yeah, so, Chucky, what part of it did you?
Well,
want me to
where
respond to?
does the sun, where is solar noon for everyone in the North Hemisphere that is not in the North Pole? That's an easy question to answer. I think everyone knows it.
Right. I don't think Flat Earth Data can answer it. He just throws it.
I'm sure he can.
He probably can if he thinks about it, because I think everyone knows where noon is. It's just when he gets closer to when it gets closer to the horizon, when the path of the sun is now more circular and it's only missing for a few degrees at night, then suddenly it gets more and more confusing. But then the answer is always going to be the same for everybody. It's going to be at the highest point in the sky. Any highest point in the sky that it is.
No, but which direction is
angularly,
it?
that'll be,
Which direction is it?
It's straight down at the ground. That's where
right.
it is.
It's
No, solar noon.
Straight up.
All right, comment to read over here.
know,
This is Sean Smith with a $5 super chat this time. Thank you, Sean. Killing it today, man. How many times is he going to presuppose and still get it wrong? No one person will tell you that the horizon is at 3 miles. Shout out to Sean Smith.
I'm glad he mentioned that, Jose. So he just said that nobody will tell you that the horizon's at 3 miles. Your model does for a 6-foot observer.
Yes. So what?
if there was no atmosphere.
The guy who
There's
just
an
the guy who just super chatted that is just what is he just
Fortunately, there is an
knows the model?
atmosphere, you know, so we can breathe and live, and you know, have birds
This
control.
sounds
Oh, Gary White Bangus.
And most of the time, that refraction is most of the time that light is bending down. It's called downward refraction. It's because the medium is denser as you go down. And sometimes we have a temperature inversion will create a little more downward refraction than we normally see, and it causes things to loom up, you know, so precipitously. So that happens only very rarely. If you're in Santa Barbara and it's a very cold day, you don't see any of those oil rig black swan images ever. Okay, doesn't happen. Only happens when it's a real hot day and you have that temperature inversion really close to the surface. Now, if you go up high, 50, 100 feet, no more refraction to cause any of these strange, weird position in your field of view anomalies. It doesn't happen anymore. And that's why we see always in an airplane where you get rid of all the atmosphere and you start looking down and outward 100, 200 miles, you always have the horizon below level, always. And that can only happen on around Earth. Thank you.
So what I thought that's where you're going, Zenek, that everyone on Earth, on the North Hemisphere, sees solar noon directly south. Now, where would that be at the North Pole? What time of the day would be solar noon?
So who's been at the North Pole? and look directly up. Nobody,
Scientist,
right?
scientist.
So yeah, they have.
I've
right?
flown over the
Yeah.
North Pole twice.
Sure.
Next question.
Hold on.
Yeah, put your stuff on tape there, bud. Because guess what?
Yeah, it's on tape. It's on tape.
North Pole.
Smarter every day.
You can't just go to the
Smarter
North Pole,
every
buddy.
day.
Sorry, you
Was
need
at the
clearance.
North Pole.
No, you don't.
Guys, I want to hear the answer to this question. That Flatter Data asked a question, and he say, "Have you been in the North Pole? How many people have been in the North Pole?" Do you want to answer that question? Who was that? Shaik? Go ahead.
Yeah, Smarter every day made a video where he was on the North Pole. Building a nuclear submarine. So yes, he was there.
And you do not need permission
Again,
to go to the North Pole. It's international
you do.
waters.
You can't.
No, you do not,
cannot
sir.
go. You
No,
cannot go to the North.
You can go to the North
Listen,
Pole.
people who work up north don't. You
It's an
don't have
international
free
water.
range.
You do
You
too.
liars. You don't have free
International
range.
waters.
Liars. You don't have free
International
range.
waters.
Liars.
You do
You don't have free
too. You can
range.
get
You
us
don't
up
have free
there.
range. You're
There's
liars.
nobody-
Let me finish my statement.
No, moron.
People
There's
who work
nobody.
on the
All right,
mines.
I heard your point, Penas Shield. You say you don't need this. Yeah, we
It's
heard what you said.
international waters.
Penas
It's
Shield,
not-
in 10 seconds, say what you are repeating for 17 times. Say
he
one
can
more
repeat
time without interruption, and then he will answer you. Go ahead.
It's in international waters. There is no
People who work
Antarctic.
down
No,
there.
God damn
People who
it.
work down there.
Flatter Data,
Again,
he's
you
going
guys
to
are
keep
lying.
interrupting you. He's going to keep interrupting you. If we don't let him, he's going to say a quick comment, maybe 15 seconds. Go ahead, Nasa Shield.
Yeah, 15 seconds, and he go around for like 5 minutes. Listen, it's in international waters. There is no Arctic comparison to the Antarctic Treaty. Even the Antarctic Treaty, you don't have to get permission. You just have to tell people you're going. When you go to the North Pole, you don't even have to do that. You can get your ass there anytime you want. Now, getting there will be an issue, but nonetheless, you can go there. You do not need permission.
All right,
Yeah,
guys. Flatter Data. Go ahead.
That's a lie. There's actually people that I know personally who work up there. I know people who work there personally. You're not allowed to.
Who?
Shut up and let me finish, you little coward.
That's a shield. Yeah, you cannot keep interrupting every
He
other
interrupts
word.
me.
Man.
I can interrupt him. I got it.
Yeah.
So
Hold on,
again,
Nasa. Let him finish.
Again, they work up there. They can't just hop in their truck and whatever machinery they have access to and just fuck off and go explore. They can't do that. That is a lie. That's bullshit. There is military there. There is ships there. There's something there that you can't. There's a particular place you cannot go. Period. End of story. I know that well. I haven't gone there myself, but I know people, and I also know people who've gone down to Antarctica as well. It's regulated. It's tightly regulated. It's bullshit. Full of shit. You do not have freedom at all. Zero. Not one bit. It's all
let me ask a question.
It's all controlled. You know why you can't. You know what they do. You know what they say, right? And I'll tell you why. And here's proof. Because you're not allowed, because of invasive species or because of viruses or whatever. You're not allowed to have human activity at certain places. Do because you can ruin the ecology and destroy and create some catastrophe biologically or ecologically,
yeah, that
right?
doesn't mean you can't go there. You can still go there.
You don't have free range. You don't.
Yes,
you can't go and just settle down there
bro.
and build a home.
The North Pole is on a sheet of ice.
I'm gonna go now and say something just really quick. I'm gonna say something really quick. I have flown over the North Pole twice. Look down and I can see it. Lots of ice and snow. Yeah, you don't really want to go there. And what's the point anyway?
That's not true at all, dude. There's areas that are blocked off. You can't. You don't have freedom of travel. You can make the claim that you've flown over there. It doesn't mean shit, dude, because you have to prove it. Show it some video.
It's not a claim.
I can look at all the videos
from Condor Airlines.
Guys, Bebol is the moderator. Bebol, if you need to mute people, go for it, man.
I'm about to. Data, before you jump in and go on for another 5 minutes, let me just ask you. So you said yes, we agree with you. There are certain places you can't go because they're protected, right? So who's to say someone that goes to these places, that the only places we can go, and they film a 24-hour sun at those specific places? Who's to say they can't do that?
So you don't have to be anywhere near the North Pole. You just have to be past a certain latitude. You just have to be past a certain latitude. Listen, you just have to be past a certain latitude. In the South, you apparently have to be directly at the South Pole because 66. You don't get a 24-hour sun past 66. When you get a 24-hour sun. When you can get a 24-hour sun past the 66 here in the North, but when do you get a 24-hour sun in the South?
Yes, you get the same
So
thing
at
in South
McMurdo,
You make
McMurdo
it stop.
No, you don't.
It'll be
How do you
6
get
months
McMurdo
after the dark,
Station is not
darkness in the south, buddy? If that's true,
6 months after the
McMurdo
darkness in the
Station.
north.
Yes,
9
McMurdo
minutes,
Station
9
is
months.
not.
Munston Station, whatever you call it, the at Munston Station, whatever, however you say that, whatever that name of that station is, 9 months of darkness, dude.
McMurdo.
So it's bullshit. No,
6
no,
months.
there's another one too, the Scott Stevens one or whatever, and then there's another one. 9 months of darkness,
So
dude.
any of the people, that work there, they can all film it 24 hours, son.
And they have tried, and all that's up there is there's 3 main videos: one of a clock or a watch and a 24-hour sun, one with a edited time lapsed. Well, they're all both time lapsed, but one that has one frame that matches the end frame, and then you have a third video with it's just all edits of just all cuts. You don't actually get to see anything. And besides that fact, I can show you documentaries right now in 2022 that refute that evidence by stating that in the summer months. There's 3 hours of darkness every night in the summer. So
not
so
summer.
that's Antarctica, dude. That's in the documentary on YouTube. It's called Antarctica.
Okay.
No, it's a free YouTube documentary. 7 minutes and 33 seconds in, or 7 minutes and 44 seconds in. You can go check it out. It's the Antarctic Expedition. And when they bring tourists up there, they have to bring them up there in the summertime because that's the only time that the ice breaks and ships can pass through the canal there, because in the winter it's all frozen over, right? So, and that's every year. Sometimes it freezes over a little larger. Sometimes it freezes not so large.
30 seconds.
The only way you can get
30
there is the
more
summertime.
seconds, and I'm muting you. Are you done?
He's done, yeah. I just want to say that the Stingray,
Okay.
I had his screen up for a little while now. The Stingray, I don't know if you got, I don't know if you're able to see this flight data, but I'm looking at it and it's a really cool type of modeling that you got going on here, Stingray.
Go ahead, Stingray. Floor is all yours.
Just before you go, one quick question about the video that you're describing. Antarctic Expedition is not a solid enough search term. Do you have anything more explicit?
Sorry. So it's YouTube free documentaries. That's the channel. So all YouTube has a channel called Free Documentaries, and there's a plethora. And the one I'm referring to is the recent one, and I believe it's called Antarctic Expedition, and it's the latest one. Perhaps Disney's involved in that one.
Does it start?
I'd have to search the name, but I think it's pretty. It's most recent. And I think that should help your search anyway. And it's really just on YouTube free documentaries. And if you go into 7 minutes and 33 seconds, 7 minutes 44 seconds, in and around that time frame, you hear them clearly say that there's 3 nights of darkness, or 3 hours of darkness at night. So how is there 24-hour sun in the summer if there's 3 hours of darkness, right? So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it depends on what time of year it is. That's easily explainable during what time of year they're talking about.
And they're at the edge of the Antarctic Circle.
Yes.
So again,
it's only 3 hours.
Okay, stop.
Only 3 hours. Darkness is impossible on the flat.
Let's not get in. I think steering has something to present. So let's not go on for another 3-minute freaking monologue.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted. I actually don't know what state Flat Earth Data is in, so I just placed it approximately where Jose is. And I agree with Flat Earth Data. Blender is an amazing tool for figuring shit out. And if you model something, the size, the distance, and put in all the current science and simply rotate this beautiful big ball, you get the exact path of the sun through your sky anywhere on the planet on any day. Give or take, let's say a degree. It's that accurate, and it's wicked. And I can go into the future.
Just like a protractor, right? Right, just like a protractor, right? If I reduce that, let me finish. If I reduce that sphere and I keep the concept that it's spherical, but really it's just from my perspective, right? And I reduce it, it works fine, right? It's protractor essentially, as I stated. So under the same principle, to get the protractor work fundamentally to make that sphere, then you'd have to have an assumption of what's making it. It's either a physical sphere that's making it, or it has to do with light and refraction. And the way I see it is that when you see in navigation, all light is parallel to the surface of the Earth, even in your own model. So
you
your
kept
model
going,
explains.
your interruption. You interrupted. I thought it was for a comment, but you kept going. Stingray haven't. It's
Well,
not
I'm
done
trying
yet.
to explain the model here and give
Maybe clarify. Maybe do a
understandings.
quick in between comment. Okay, but going in a long rant, no, until Stingray is done, and then you can have your points.
So, as I was saying, much like a protractor, I've got the direction and elevation and little dots on here to represent 5-degree increments surrounding an observer. Now, this does not take into consideration refraction because the magnitude of the effect of refraction is almost insignificant when we're on about the path of the sun. If it were significant, then simply me modeling this and rotating a sphere would be hellish off reality. But in fact, it's so close to reality, I used it to purchase solar panels and to figure out where the sun will be in my sunroom tomorrow from start to end. Whereas you try and do this on a flat surface, no matter the magic.
Why are you being silly? Why are you being silly? All I need to know is Greenwich time.
He's going to the. Thank you.
Now, no matter the magic that flat earthers introduce, I simply need to rotate a sphere, which we call planet Earth.
Yeah, to find my longitude, I don't need to think of a sphere at all. I just need to point a meridian and a flat circle to calculate that. I don't need no sphere to calculate my longitude.
Quick comment I want to read for you guys. 30 seconds. Super chat by Angry Dog for 4.99 euros. Thank you, Angry Dog. Appreciate your support. Flat Earth data. Don't be a coward. You can go to the North Pole. You just need to avoid certain, mostly military exclusion zones. Stop lying. Shout out to Angry Dog.
I've got a question that Flat Earth data might be able to help me with, and that's the disparity between the apparent location of the sun and the physical location of the sun on a flat plane, and how to actually make it get there, because Australia is a brilliant example.
He doesn't know, Stingray. That's his answer. He doesn't know.
He might do. So, just really quickly, this is the path of the sun around one of the.
Sorry for helping you, Flat Earth data, but I don't think you know. You're unable to point it.
Here's an interesting thing. So, this in Australia would dictate that the sun gets really big and goes really quick around noon, whereas it slows down at the extent we know that doesn't happen. But then there's a bigger problem. To an observer in Australia, this is not where the sun is at all. This is Sydney, by the way. Just.
Yeah, so you know the sun gets bigger, right? Arc minutes, it can be measured to get 32.5 arc minutes. And in the winter time here, the sun is actually, what's that?
Over what period of time?
6 months. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You have a
Over
larger
6
sun.
months, it gets
You have a
half
larger
a
sun. You have
Over
a. You do in
6
fact have a.
months, it gets
You do
one
in fact
half
have
of
a
degree
larger
bigger.
sun.
Over
You do
6
have.
months, it
Why
gets
do you keep
one half
interrupting
of
me?
a degree big, because you're talking
Why do you-
bullshit.
Again, no. Again, it's measured that the sun actually gets bigger in size,
It's
and the
6
bigger where it
months
gets bigger
time
in size is over Australia.
He's
So
talking
why is
a
the guy still
day.
there in this
He's
shit?
talking a day.
It
He's talking
gets to
things
be
would happen
32
in a
arc minutes.
day, and it gets
32 and a half.
All right, gentlemen,
32 and a half arc
Okay,
minutes.
over 6 months, got it.
32 and a half arc minutes, right? So it does go from 30 arc minutes to 32 and a half arc minutes. So it actually is bigger in Australia. So
Over
why would you
6
lie
months
like that?
time. Over 6 months
It doesn't
time.
matter. If it's
Yes, it
bigger,
does.
it's closer.
6
If it's
months
closer, it's hotter. I
time.
wonder why
No,
Australia is
it's
all
not.
fucking
Data, it's got to get bigger over the course of a day.
It's got to get
Not
much
over the
bigger
course of
than
months.
2
So
degrees.
here's what it does over a course of a day, and then you can verify what I'm saying out of my own mouth using stellarium. Here's what the sun does every day. The sun oscillates towards Earth.
Size wasn't my argument.
Here's what the sun does every day, and you can verify it with stellarium. Go look at the stellarium data. The sun, as it rises to you, gets bigger in size, and as it moves away from you, gets smaller in size. But not only that, it'll actually stop, reverse, and go forward again. So the apparent diameter size information in the apparent diameter information in stellarium will back me up what I'm saying. Go look at it. Go watch it. As it rises to you,
I agree with
As it
everything you
rises,
just said, Flat Earth, except now can you help me get the sun from here to there, and then let me know where it works on the
now
rest
we have
of the
to beg.
planet?
Now we have to beg the question of the path of the sun. Now, is it circular? Does it make it an infinity symbol?
Is this
Or
what
is
you
it
say you don't know? Is this what you say you don't know, Data?
Is it a Mercator? Is it a Mercator map? The point is the realization we
Is this
both have
what
to
you
beg
say
the
you don't know?
question.
No,
You don't
So
know
you're saying that the horizon is caused
We
by
are
physical
saying
Earth.
how it works, and you're saying you don't know, Flutter Data. Is that it?
I can give you assumptions on how it works for sure. Yep.
Oh, but you don't know.
Cool. No, no.
I can give you assumptions. The
in
ball
Australia,
model is an
He doesn't
assumption. The
know.
ball model is
it's
an
not.
assumption of what
in Australia,
people don't live upside down, right? So it's an
All right,
assumption.
let's
There's nobody
know. We're
living
talking
upside
about
down.
It's the path of the sun.
There's nobody antipodal.
It is the path of the sun what we're talking about, not that. Let's not jump.
Yeah, no,
Start going around.
you don't need to keep going on. It's all I'm simply saying is forget the globe. I'm
Just
with
say
you.
data, buddy.
We're on a,
Just say
we're on-
data, buddy.
Sorry.
Just say data, buddy. You don't have to keep saying flat Earth, flat Earth. Just say data.
Data, buddy. So yeah, so I just
If the
need to be
data
able
were
to
correct.
get the sun from here, where it would be on this circular path, to there, where people see it in Australia, and then I need to somehow work out how the hell this works for every single other person.
Well, you're going to have to, of course, have some suppositions, right? You're going to have to either
Make shit up.
Well, that's what you do, right? That's what the model,
that's
the
what
globe
you're
model
doing.
is. Your model is made up that people are living
We're
upside
asking
down.
you your model, your explanation, your understanding. Let's not talk about the globe.
So listen, this is where it comes down to when you have Ronald Reagan stand in front of
is down.
You're
When
scattered,
you
going.
have-
You're going all
when
over
you
the
have-
place. You're talking all kinds of other stuff, flooded data. Let's try to point at not at how the globe works or doesn't work. Let's talk about how do you think it works. If it's not a globe and if it doesn't work on a globe, tell me how it works then. Give me ideas. Say whatever you want to say, but let's stop talking about how the globe works or doesn't work. I don't care about the globe anymore. I want to learn from your perspective how things work, not how it doesn't work on a globe. Please go ahead.
You're going to have to take other shapes into consideration as far as refraction goes. For instance, there's other examples to show you alternative patterns once you introduce spherical refraction. So you can take rings and make a ring. Those rings.
Up now, right? So
Let me
make up some
finish.
refraction.
You can take refraction and make rings appear to be oppositional to one another, right? So they appear to be going in one direction, but refraction's making it look like it's going in another. So these are the things that are outside of my. These are outside. If you take a crystal, a semisphere crystal,
So
it's
where's
got
this
like a
crystal in the
dome.
sky?
Well, this is again back to your field of view, back to
No,
the
where's this
fact that
crystal,
you're.
man. Show me where this crystal is. You say there's crystal out
Okay.
there, distorted
So the
stuff.
assumption comes from this: is that the position from the observer to the sun, there is a crystalline like effect. In other words, you see this refraction effect. I can't prove it. It's just what I assume based on observation, right?
just make shit up.
Just like Aristophanes assumed that the sun rays were coming in straight,
That's
and because the
parallel.
Earth was
Parallel,
curved,
not straight,
because
parallel.
That's a shield.
Well, straight
You're
parallel.
obfuscating now. You saw this derailing this because because data is going in all kinds of tangents and obfuscations, and you're helping him get there instead of trying to go back to what Stingray got on screen. Now, data body.
Oh, I'm not watching anything on screen. Was I supposed to be watching? Was I supposed to be watching something on screen?
He wasn't even
Data
watching
body.
it.
Data chill. Wait. Data body. Can you show us your Flender model now, or you don't have accessibility to it?
You're talking about the Blender idea of being a tiny observer, and you have a field of view that is basically like a protractor, and as objects proceed over you in a straight path, it will appear like they're arcing down your path. So I'm not the only one who's done that. It's out there. I took it down from my other channel. My other channel got deleted, so it's not uploaded. But you know what? You got Stingray. Stingray's really good at doing it. It's all default settings. He can just download some topography, get some nice elevation land, and take a sphere, turn it into a see-through crystal clear sphere, and put a light over top of it, and you can watch how the light responds to the sphere. You can see that there will be an illusion.
So Earth is a sphere. So Earth is a transparent sphere. That's your model.
No, so your
data body.
perspective is spherical, right? Your perspective is spherical. So when you localize it to a small individual over a large, massive plane, and you make the assumption that this field of view that he has is a dome, then you can actually take the second presupposition, if you will, and move the sun over it. And you'll notice that as the sun moves over it, it's going to arc in a pattern. Now, depending on whether that's directly straight overhead of it or slightly left or right of it, the effects are still going to be the same. There's going to be this arching pattern that's there. So under that principle, you could either have your perspective turn things into a sphere, or it's a large extended plane with a refraction, making this spherical effect. In other words, changing the apparent motions of the heavenly bodies when they're flat, but the atmosphere has crystalline glass reflective effects.
Let me see.
Okay,
Let's see. Wait.
You gotta let someone. Jesus, go ahead,
Yes.
Jose. I'm
No,
sorry.
the stingray, that was perfect because the data body, he say to the stingray, he is good at modeling. He could do X, Y, and Z. Do you catch the things that he asked for you to do? Maybe you're able to do that, or do you need more clarification, stingray?
Well, yeah, I have got a few questions, and yes, Data Buddy, you should be looking at my share, which has got Blender and a flat Earth model showing what an observer sees in actually Melbourne, Australia, and what the flat Earth model would be based off the tropics. And the two just don't match and could never match, and that's what I was asking you about. But if you don't look, it doesn't matter. But my question about your dome, your glass dome, is this a personal dome where every single observer is in the center of it, or is it not?
Well, here's the thing, right? The way I look at optics, it portrays as itself as a protractor. In other words, as objects move away from me, I have a horizontal 90 degree from my subpoint position, and as I look out, I can measure an angle to something in the sky using trigonometry. So that's straight lines.
Doesn't answer the question at all.
Angle, right? Hold on. So if I can use that fundamental, what tool is in comparison to that? Well, a protractor works the exact same way. Well, I wonder if that's coincidental that my vision matches a protractor. No, I don't think it's coincidental at all. In fact, the protractor is in fact indeed based off of our perspective. So if I use that device, but then I make some assumptions as far as what's causing the arc, well, I can do so knowing how light responds in a denser medium. When it changes from one medium to another, and that medium is denser than the other, there's a pivot change or a deviation. Okay, well, how does that work when you assume that there is a curved dome? Well, is that our field of view that's curving that, or is it the upper field that we can't see curving that? Well, I know that our optics has a circular reference. So it's going to appear, dome-like, but it's actually going to be flat. That's how we get the convergence. That's the way we get the apparent junction. Without the two parallels, we can't get the joining, and that's optical. So I'm taking a lot of assumptions in by assuming that there's a dome over me that's causing this arc effect. Now, whether that's localized to 50 miles above my head or 5,000 miles above my head, the effect is still there. So I'd have to assume everything after that
You have
point.
no proof of this dome, though,
You
right?
get all that, Stingray? You can put all that in your model there, Stingray? You get all that?
So I've got,
I think he was asking a yes or no question. I didn't catch that, if that was a yes or a no.
Yeah, I really didn't understand.
it was maybe, to be honest. Just really quickly then, flat Earth Data. In this dome optic refraction, I take it there's a special kind of refraction here that is just amazing to me, that does two things. It doesn't create...
Why would there be amazing refraction to you? It's just assuming that it's light bending down when it's introduced to a spherical shape that's due to atmospheric conditions, right?
I'll tell you what.
It would have to do more than bend down. It would have to do a lot more than bend down. You're talking about 45 degrees of displacement.
I can't tell you what the capabilities of it are, or what the limitations of it are.
Even if it exists, you're just making it up.
I can show you the effect.
You're just making it up.
I can show you the effect.
Guys, stop.
Guys.
So again,
I think Stinger was in the middle of asking a question.
So I can show you the effect. Let's get to the end of this, because I want to tell you what I meant by the word amazing. The word amazing to me is when an occurrence of something is so singular and unexplainable. I call it magic, a miracle, amazing. And by that, I mean, how does this refraction rotate something? How does it actually rotate an object? So if you imagine an arrow is pointing upwards, how does it point it down? I don't understand. Can you explain it to me?
Okay, well, you're assuming that if you're looking at a deviation, you're assuming that it's deviating on one or two premise, which is it's either the Earth rotating from it or the object's moving away. The effect would be the same either way, whether it would be stationary or moving. The effect remains. The idea that
I asked it wrong. Sorry. No, I'm only interrupting you because that isn't what I asked. Imagine I've got an arrow that stays the same size in the sky. Your magic, amazing miracle refraction is going to turn that arrow upside down, and I'm asking, how does it do that? Keeping it in the same place in the sky.
Okay, so here's how I assume that happens, and I know this is going to sound crazy, is that if the arch of the refraction is at a sharper degree, so something flat moving across will appear to arch down in that manner. So in other words, here's an example. In Blender, take a pyramid, a glass pyramid, and shine a light directly over top of it. You will see that as it moves straight, you'd have the sun arc in two different ways. And I'm just giving you an example of how this particular refraction effect can change the pattern of celestial objects. That's the point of this. So I'm assuming things, but I'm going through the process of spherical refraction and taking the shape of these glass objects, if you will, and moving bodies of light past them. And when you do, you get these anomalies, these different patterns and effects that if you put an observer in the middle, he's not going to observe exactly what's going on in reality. He's going to observe an optical illusion. And that's what I believe that we see constantly. And that's why we have an apparent junction. And the only way to get that junction is to have two parallel places to join. Without the two parallels, you don't get a joining.
And so
there we go.
I've got it now. So all these odd shapes, these glass things, light shining at different angles, all this kind of stuff. Whereas,
buddy, it's just going through the motions. It's just going through the motions, dude. I can't prove any of it. I can't prove any of it. I'm begging the question of everything.
To have a globe that rotates, whereby every individual on that globe has a different up vector.
Here's the thing.
Everything just works.
Here's the thing.
I'm fine with that.
Here's the thing. You don't have a curve, though. You don't actually have curvature. Do you understand? You don't actually have a physical radius value. And here's how
he was talking all the way through your explanation. He has no idea what you said. All unmuting.
Yeah, I know exactly what he said. He said it works perfectly on a ball. No, it doesn't. There's no antipodal people, and I can give you an observation where time zones don't work on you. It's not true. It's not true. There's things that you can prove the ball to be incorrect in the measurements, to bottom line, and that has a lot to do with refraction as well. And the fact that how we laid out our grid system, we're tiny little individuals over a massive Earth, right? And locally, at all measurements, it's Euclidean. You're going to step upside of that Euclidean and then have to beg the question by creating models, right? And those models will have to be applied to what you observe in reality. And while the ball might represent some reality, the reality that you negate in your model that's not present in reality is actual physical Earth curvature. Okay, and you claim that it's at you claim that it's at 3 miles for a 6-foot observer. So it's not. That's been falsified, right?
Wait a
mathematically,
second.
mathematically,
but it hasn't been falsified, though. It hasn't been falsified.
Here's how you can personally falsify it. Here's how you can personally falsify it. Here's an example. In the geometrical calculations, whether it's 7,918 miles or 7,921 miles, or even 7,926 miles, whatever diameter you settle at the Earth, you're going to have a measurement value at a certain height, at a certain distance. There'll be the horizon point. This is a physical, non-refracted point of position based on physical geometry due to the shape of the Earth, right? This is a quantified formula. Now, if it states that at 1 foot, that the horizon has to be a set distance away, even if I add in refraction and go, let me finish. Let me finish. I'm almost done, dude. Stop interrupting and obfuscating.
No, you're not.
Stop. I'm teaching you how to falsifying it. Yeah, you're interrupting me now. I have to fucking start over. So how to falsify it is understand what boundaries and limitations are in the geometrical mathematics. Well, if you understand optics, then you understand that there's a conflation or a misrepresentation of what we're seeing, and you can either look at that as something that has magnitude or something that doesn't have magnitude. In other words, Earth curve is either physical or it's not physical. The formula in your Earth curvature calculator is showing that it has magnitude, which means it's physical. That's not optical. Optical is no magnitude. That's why that's how you can falsify it, is because you're conflating that is real when it's optical, and you're deducing mathematics out of it. Now, the conundrum is that 60 by 60 by 24 time is the circumference of the Earth, 24,000, or the circumference of the path of the sun, which is 24,901 apparently. You can deduce the radius and radius and apparent curvature from time. 60 by 60 by 24. If you know the two distances on Earth and you can time it, you can get the apparent size of Earth just from watching the sun. So you can take these basic observations and make a model out of it. The thing that the conundrum is, and this is I'm final here, I'm going to be done in 5 seconds. I'm going to relate this to Ronald Reagan's speech. He says in front of hundreds of thousands of people.
That was 5 seconds.
I know. Anyway, he said if you obey your senses, you might end up thinking the Earth is flat. That's what Ronald Reagan said on hundreds of thousands of people, and then I'm done.
Yes. So what?
You used an awful lot of words to say absolutely nothing. What you actually did was called argumentum verbosum.
Yeah. Why can't I measure the curvature on the Earth? It's
the model that I built, Flat Earth, and if you can click on my screen and see it, it's just the distance, size of things, and the sun. And it's still, even if this was wrong, even if this wasn't the reality and didn't represent true reality, there's one undeniable
Stingray. Stingray, sorry to interrupt. You cannot model the size of the sun.
Wait a minute.
Stingray, in your model.
Data.
Hold on.
You're gonna let him speak, or you will be muted. Do you understand?
I want him to speak. I want him to speak, but I want him to acknowledge.
No. You shut up. You're muted at the current moment. Let him finish.
Yeah, I'll be really quick. So, even if this didn't represent reality in some way, it still is undeniable that it can do 3 things. It can tell me where I am on the planet. It can tell me the path of the sun through the sky on any given month. It can show me exactly the phase and orientation, very importantly, orientation of the moon based on where I am on the planet. And it can show me the exact path of the terminator line. And all of these things correspond to rotating a ball, and it works every time for every location on every day of the year. So even if it's false and not real, it is 100% useful so far.
Yeah, but it's no good to us if we cannot measure this curvature on this Earth and actually detect the spin. That's what we're talking about. The physicality of the Earth we live on. There is no curvature and there is no movement.
Jen, have you ever tried though? Have you yourself actually tried?
I have tried myself. I have tried myself to find curvature. I have not seen it. And I know the Earth is moving. Well, like I've said, my experience would be through aeroplanes, long distance observations. That's been my main method, I'd have to say. Flying in planes and long distance observations over
flying
water.
in airplanes.
Sailing.
What were you
Sailing.
What were you looking for? Flying in an airplane.
Well, I'm looking for several things. Curvature of the Earth wasn't curving. I'm also looking for the aircraft's attitude to follow the curvature of the Earth through a given distance. That didn't happen at all. Level flight.
How much curvature? Go ahead. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I thought you were done.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
How much curvature do you expect to see? I don't know, at 30,000 feet left to right.
I expect to see curvature of a ball at that height if I'm living on a ball. I expect to see.
How much?
What I expect to see. Oh, I can't give you a measurement of that. I'd have to do the maths because when you see something that's physical, to measure that, I haven't got measuring devices in my eyeballs to give you that, have I? I'd have to.
So
do
how
the
do you?
maths.
Okay, so how do you know you weren't actually looking at the?
Look, I didn't
how
see
do you
any
know?
curvature. Bloody hell. Okay, I know. Don't ask me such dumb questions.
But you just said you didn't measure it though. Like, how do you know you're not seeing it like literally half a degree of curvature? If you can't measure it.
Look, the aeroplane is not following any curved path at all. If it were doing
But
so,
you said you couldn't measure it with your eye.
I'm saying to you that don't hang on to those words that I haven't got rulers in my eyes or measuring devices in my eyes. Look, when you're in your plane, you're getting your drinks, your in-flight meals, and so on. Okay? If you're following the curvature of the Earth, for example, if you're going from England to Africa, South Africa, for example, there's a lot of curvature there. You wouldn't be able to have a meal. you wouldn't be able to have anything. You'd be,
Why not? What would happen?
Because
What would happen?
you're heading from the northern hemisphere, you're heading from the north, heading south across a curve.
Oh, because we'd be upside down. That's
You would
why.
be upside down if you went to Australia.
Right.
You would be.
Right.
Another
You
person
would
that
be
thinks
on
south
a
is
ball.
down. A grown ass
Of
adult.
course. Absolutely correct,
Jen,
sir. The reason why
so
is
Jen,
because
why is it that?
Australia
Wait, hold on 1 second.
is known as down under, and then
Got it.
the South Pole is under. These are the expressions that have been around for years, decades. Okay, Australia
Jen.
down under.
All right,
the UK.
Jen. So why is it that Stingray was able to create a model just based on the distances and sizes that they give us in the globe model that perfectly match what we see in reality?
I will say again, I've never seen the curvature of this Earth. It's not there. Models can. You can use
can I show you?
Maps. Hang on a second, please. Maps can produce things in numbers, but where is it in the physical world we live in? It's not there. Okay. So your ball, you have not presented to yourself that the Earth is a ball that is spinning. It's not there.
But Jen, he used the numbers and the sizes of that are in the globe model, and it matches perfectly.
You're not listening.
You're breaking up.
Not
Is that me or is that him?
That must be me. Yeah. Physically, I'm saying physically, he hasn't done that. It's okay to have the numbers on paper. Okay, it's okay.
Yeah, but
it matches reality.
Physically, it doesn't match reality. It does not.
Though.
You know, it doesn't because it has. I've never seen the
Have you
curvature.
seen it?
Hey, Jen.
I've never seen the curvature at all.
Jen,
I've looked.
Jen, if you just click on me now live, where are you in the UK, by the way?
Sir. I've seen all kinds of models, so I'm living in Japan at the moment.
Oh, right. Okay. I'll put this in Japan, and I will tell you tomorrow the exact path of the sun through your sky by rotating a planet. And it's that simple. It's just easy.
It's unfortunately your Achilles heel is there is no measurable curvature across the ocean, across land. It's just a level plane, and it's not spinning. We do not detect it.
I've heard that a lot, Jen. I've heard that. Just
let me finish. We cannot be a ball in the vacuum of space without a containment of some kind. So these are your
things. Just concentrate on one. Pick one. Pick one. Measurement of curvature, right? That's your primary one. That's the first one, yeah? Is that correct?
Physical shape of the ball, correct.
Right, okay, cool. So
I want to see it with my eyeballs.
Okay, yeah, brilliant. So I need you to just have a hypothetical here. Let's say I was some deity and I magicked you away onto a ball. This ball is absolutely huge, but we don't know how big. But it is huge. And I say, I want you to tell me how big this is. Can you explain how you would do that, please?
How would I do that?
Yeah, that's my question to you.
That would be very difficult indeed.
No, I mean, go for it. Just give us your best guess.
That's a difficult thing to do. That would be a difficult thing to do.
No, I mean, well, just do it quickly, roughly.
If I'm using technology, I'd probably use an aircraft to do that.
Go for it. How would you do it? Go.
Well, I'd just start at one point and go as far as I can go, and measure that. It's nigh on impossible to do it.
So wait a minute. It's nigh on impossible. Yet every single time you come here saying, "Show me a measurement of this huge planet." Yes,
correct.
That's hypocritical, you twat.
It's not hypocritical at all because I know you don't have the technology to show this ball, but we can measure across level planes using laser beams, GPS, and things like that. Yeah, radar.
Pictures of it.
And not. For me, I don't have this equipment, so for me it would be very difficult to be able to measure this curvature. But I've used an aeroplane, okay, and long distance observations, the cheaper of the things that I've mentioned, and there's no curvature there. And that would be sufficient to detect.
Jen, I've made long distance observations.
Well, over a curve. Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to see it. Why don't you show me it?
Jen,
Present
it. You've seen. Remember the ones with the auto level? I'm not gonna post them again because you've seen them already.
Oh, what the one you're talking about? The ones in Honolulu? Are you talking about?
Yes.
Wow,
I
that's
like
rubbish.
the one where the storm cloud was
Bloody
blowing
rubbish.
over.
Just rubbish, right? Rubbish.
Absolute rubbish. What you present.
All right, here's
there, yeah.
another one. What about flights in the southern hemisphere? What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts on that?
We live on a flat plane, so
No.
basically, the
No.
distances, flights happen.
Go ahead.
Flights happen across the southern plane in straight lines. We don't
Okay,
live
that's
upside
true.
down. We don't. Right. We don't live
So, what would
upside
you
down.
say the distance? What do you think the distance would be between, I don't know, Sydney and Johannesburg?
I don't know. I'd have to do the Google Earth it first of all. Then, if I want to get an accurate, hang on a second, please. I'd have to Google Earth it first, and then I would personally have to fly that route and measure it that way myself. That's the only way I'm going to know for sure the actual distance properly.
The cool thing about that is that flight happens several times a week, and the distance between those places is about 6,800 miles.
Well,
So
again,
how-
I don't
how
know. That's what you're being
distance
told.
is
I
that
don't
on
know.
flat Earth?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what you're being told. You know,
I got a
I'd have to
comment
do
to
it
it.
for myself.
Just for
I got a
everybody
comment
that's
to it.
listening, because I'm going to stop sharing in a second.
Hey, let me read this comment before you go, so I can hold you for another extra minute. Note for $5 by Marble Merman. Thank you, Marble, for the $5, man. Flat Earth Data is a coward who will not test his theory. Just lemon bird, all talk and no bark. Data. Listen to the real teacher class in session. Love you all. Not Flat Earth loser, Marble. Thank you very much, Marble. Stingray, before you stop screen sharing, go ahead, man. Wrap it up.
Yeah, sorry, Jin. Just before I go, Jin, if you wanted to look at my screen, it's just rotating the ball. I'll put the observer in Japan. It's just what current science and geodetics say that it is. And just by rotating this sphere on this month with the distance, it gives you the exact path of the sun through your sky. I'm just saying, even if it's a lie, it can tell you whether to get solar panels and how effective they'll be. How cool is that?
Stingray, before
That's
you go,
cool. That's cool. But
Stingray,
go
before
ahead.
you go, I have one quick question for you.
Go for it.
Mind?
Data, buddy.
What causes the apparent junction of the sky and ground?
That's a trick Jeopardy question, Alex Trebek.
What causes the apparent junction between the
That's
sky
exactly what causes that.
and the
We all know
ground?
that.
That is not
That's
how
the
you
question. That was
play
easy.
Jeopardy.
Why so many people talking when there was a question for Stingray and he's just repeating the question so he can answer it? Giving a break. I want to hear how Stingray approaches this question. This is great. Go ahead, man. Stingray.
Okay, so I would say it is an optical effect through an atmosphere. You're on about terrestrial observation on the ground, correct? First.
I'm just asking what causes the apparent junction of the sky and ground, otherwise known as the horizon.
All right, yeah. So a terrestrial observation. So the way that I would answer that is it's the ground occluding the sky beyond, by nature of it being a huge damn sphere that we see optically through refraction, but the refraction is most of the time almost negligible. Why?
That's it. I just wanted to ask you what your response is. Thanks for responding.
Yeah, no problem.
You'll find the response in his book 7 years from now.
Never.
Right. Anyway, folks, my gripe with all this is that you can have the menu for roast beef with all your vegetables and trimmings.
We don't need the
You can have the
analogies.
menu. You can have the menu, but if you don't have the actual food in your hand,
Hey, why you insulting me? You don't call me host B. I'm host A.
Yeah. Not only that, Jen, listen, people, thank God for you guys, because now the world's airlines will suddenly be rescued by all the mistakes they've been making, not only in direction to these places, but the fuel loads and the distances and the airspeeds that they've been traveling to these distances that have been flown for over 70, 80 years now. So thank God you guys are here to help them realize that, no, these places are not 5,000 or 6,000 miles away.
They're 12.
And the professionals are coming out telling you they're not living on the globe at the moment. There are a number of professionals out there telling
Name
you,
one.
and that number is growing.
My father flew from San Francisco to Australia basically weekly. And I can tell you from his data and the things he shared with me, and I still have his manuals and some of his log books. It's all real, Dan. If you believe in this fairy tale, All I can say for you is that you should wake up because it's a dream. All right.
I'm gonna share your screen, Jesse.
I pity you. I pity you, really, because it's the globe.
You're up.
It's the globe that is a fairy
Yeah,
tale.
yeah.
There's
My
not
dad's. He was
one
lying to me,
single
lying to everybody.
shred
Logbooks were
evidence.
faked. Didn't really fly
Okay.
14, 15 hours to Japan. I mean, come on. You've flown to Japan. You have an accent. I know you're not from Japan, so I know you've come from somewhere on a jet.
That is
was
not.
born in
Your
the
dad is
UK.
not an expert. Your dad is not an expert because he's not a flat earther that agrees with Jim's bias.
I know, right?
Look, I'm an African born in the UK, living in Japan at the moment.
How'd you get there?
20 years.
By boat?
I went by flight. Plane,
Yes.
aeroplane.
Did you time your?
Right.
How long did it take you to get there?
Total time.
Take off wheels
11
up
hours.
landing. How long?
It was a 2-hour flight from England to like Germany, and then from Germany, little stopover, and then another 9-hour flight from there.
So 9 hour from Frankfurt to South America or to Japan?
To Japan.
5
9 hours
hours
flight it was.
Oh, 9 hours. Yeah.
9.
So 9 hours. Why don't you go work out the math on that? And you've given the air, your airspeed probably is 235.
It's not going to prove the globe when it's not there physically. That's the problem. You can
Well,
have,
how
like
does
I
it
said
go the
earlier,
distance?
you can have the
How does
numbers. You can have the numbers
How
dialed
does it-
in on your computer. Let me finish, please. You can have your numbers dialed in on your computer, but then you need to have the physical ball there to experience. I don't have that. It's not there. I don't see it.
Why do you
I
need
don't
the physical ball to
experience
experience? When you
because that's when I know that I'm on a
Jim,
ball.
all you
That's
need
when
is
I
the
know
distance
I'm
and the
living
time it takes to get there. That's all you need is the
That's
distance
not enough, sir.
and the time it takes to
Well,
get
how
there.
does it work on a sphere if you can do the math on how fast the plane was going? They know this, right? You know they're going 500 to 550 miles an hour ground speed.
That's happening on a
How
flat
does it
plane.
work 9 hours? Show me how 9 hours in flight, what it's going to work out to be on a flat Earth. It'll be surprising. You draw your flat Earth map from you in Frankfurt to Japan, and 9 hours at some, and don't even, I want to give you the speed. You tell me what 9 hours would be if the distances are correct for the flat Earth.
Don't worry, it didn't happen on a globe. I didn't experience
All
a
right,
globe.
you just,
I looked at
Jen,
I
you've
looked out the
shown us
window
all
of
that
the
you are
flight.
completely in denial, absolutely,
I'm not in denial
positively
at all. It's the
unable
truth.
to listen to common logic and knowledge. You think you know
I'm
things, you
listening
just
to your
don't.
logic.
So it's just kind
I'm
of,
listening
and
to
then
your
you're
logic,
just
and
a
I'm
constant interrupter too. So you just
So
talk over
Zanuck,
people.
as I stated earlier, as I asked you earlier, Zanuck, does the Earth appear flat and motionless? You said yes. To humans, it does. So you
Yes.
can't fault him or try to embarrass him if you admittedly already answered that yes, it does
Well,
appear
yeah.
motionally and flat yourself.
Well, so if a child,
Yeah, I don't do embarrass.
thank you for that. So yeah, thank you for the segue there. So if a child came to me and told me these things that you just confirmed and I confirmed back to you that yes, the world does appear flat. It does appear motionless. But let's do these tests, and I do 5 or 10 tests, and my son would say, "Wow,
Just
Dad,
do
that's
one
great. Now,
test,
thank
Zanuck.
you for
You don't-
that information. Now
you
I
don't
know
need
we're
to go
moving, but
5.
I can't feel it. I'm still talking. I don't feel it. I can't see it, but it's there because I've measured it." That's an accomplishment for him at a very young age. For some reason, you and Jen and others don't want to learn as most children have learned. You want to stick to your guns and stay with this religious belief.
I've done these time in motion studies. I've done them.
That was your
It
time to
doesn't
jump
prove
in, Jim.
the
Is that
Earth
was
is a globe,
that was your
though.
time to jump in and roll over me? Really? That was your cue?
I'm just
So-
running you over, mate. If I get the
Yeah,
chance.
you are. Let me just, I was about ready to the last 3 words. So you can be happy in ignorance is bliss. That's great, but you're not using the God-given
It's not ignorance,
abilities
though.
that he
It's not
gave you
ignorance. I've
called a brain and your
motion
ability to
studies.
think and use logic. You're not using it. You're just using your belief system and your fly with
Well,
nonsense.
here's some
It's not a
logic
belief.
for
It's
you,
not a
Zanuck.
belief system. It's not a belief
Zanuck,
system.
I'll ask you. Zanuck, I'll ask you the same. I'll ask you the same question I asked Stingray. What causes the apparent junction of the sky and ground?
I would say it exactly like Stingray said. Your sky is being obscured from the ground, the physical ground beneath it, due to its curvature. And there's no other explanation for it that'll work. And we can test it by horizon drop with altitude, by radar, by everything you can ever think of.
Again, you're missing the point.
I'm not
There's
missing the point. He wants to
no
know what
curvature. I'm always going to drive
the
this
only
home.
reason that
There's
we see things,
no physical curvature.
the only reason
at
we
all
see
there.
things being hidden by the horizon is because the Earth is curved. We know this because there is a physical drop from level to the horizon. Even when there's refraction, even when there's also the artifacts going on with the atmosphere that are caused by that, we have a drop. And that drop can only happen by a horizon caused by a spherical Earth.
You just stated that the Earth appears to be flat and motionless for a human.
Only if you limit your efforts of looking
now in
for
the same
what
breath,
appears.
you're saying that it doesn't appear. Now you're saying in the same breath it doesn't appear flat. So
I
which
didn't
point
say
does
the
it
same breath.
appear?
I stopped. I took another breath.
At what point does it appear flat?
Data.
What point does it appear flat? And then what point doesn't it appear flat?
Stop
Which
it.
one?
Stop it, Data.
Which
I
point
took
does it
another
appear
breath.
flat and which point doesn't it appear flat?
Stop it. I took another breath and then told you that by using sensitive and accurate measuring tools, we can then determine that the horizon drops from a level that we can't see that with our naked eyes without any kind of other aids. However, we can, if we go up high enough, then it's very obvious that we have a horizon drop with altitude. But it's got to go very high for that to happen. The 3-degree drop we can actually visually see.
This is all going in Flutter Data's book, just saying.
I know, I love it.
Robert Gillis.
And it's going to be it's going to be a friggin' $1 million seller, right?
Like an encyclopedia. Like an encyclopedia.
That can't open his eyes and understand how basic math works.
You're the idiot who's believing in the border you cannot see.
pages each. 33 books of 666 pages each. Like an encyclopedia.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that you guys are hanging on to something that you've never seen.
I got you up on screen for a while, Jesse Gordon. You just gotta jump in it, man.
Okay, could I have a minute with Jen there?
Hi there. How can I help you?
Oh, can you see the picture I got of Mount Shasta up on the YouTube there?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
If you click on in Discord, if you click over his name, you should see a button that say "Watch Stream" or "Watch the Screen Share," and you should be able to see his image.
Yeah. I'm clicking on that now.
Okay, good. So I actually went up to about an 8,934 foot tall mountain peak. I should say high mountain peak, with a precision surveyor's instrument called a theodolite, and it measures angles to within 1/3600th of a degree. So it's pretty accurate.
Okay.
And I measured the vertical angle to Mount Shasta, which is 105 miles away, and that's what you can see in the top part of the picture. And then you can see that
I'm looking.
Okay, you can see the display readings of the instrument that I took. The way you use these is you take a reading one way, and then the whole instrument actually pivots around and it flips around, so you can then take another reading with the telescope piece upside down backwards, and that way any errors average out, because they really designed this. And this was actually made in Japan. I'm actually using an instrument that was made in Japan, so it's really accurate. Okay, and you can see that even though I was only 8,934 feet tall or high, and Mount Shasta is 14,000 feet high plus change, it's still actually a tenth of a degree below eye level. Okay,
wow.
There's 6,278 feet of missing elevation.
Yeah, again, I'd have to with what you presented, I'd have to be there myself with the tools to actually experience that. That's the answer. That's what I'm going to say to you there.
Right. So you can doubt me, but I'm telling you how to do it for yourself. Can you see Mount Fuji from where you are?
I can see Mount Fuji. Well, not from yes, I can actually. Yeah, but I need to raise myself a bit.
Okay. Roughly how many miles are you from Mount Fuji?
From Mount Fuji, I would have to say I'm at least 200 miles.
Oh, that's perfect. That's absolutely perfect. So do you know anyone who's in the surveying business at all that could help you measure the angle to Mount Fuji?
Not offhand, no.
Okay, well, that's okay. Do you know how to make a water tube level? You just take like a 10, 20-foot piece of clear rubber tube and you fill it with colored water to make it easier to see, and you string it up on 2 tripods so that you can sight across the water levels. Do you know about that?
Yeah, I know about water levels, yeah. But I don't need to do that. I don't need to do any of that because the fact that I can see Mount Fuji there should be curvature in this thing. It's not there. If I use the Pythagorean theorem and the curvature drop.
But see, you didn't actually
basically
do the math. If you do the math, you would see that it actually would. You would be able to see it.
No, I've done the maths, and it should be hidden behind 5 miles of curvature from where I am. But anyway, we have long distance observations in France, 273 miles across.
Well, no. You're not in France. You need to do a measurement. You need to do a measurement because here's the problem.
I don't need to do anything.
Listen,
I don't need to do anything.
Listen. If you're an honest person, you need to be honest because you're just being a liar and you're not listening to what I'm saying here. So listen. So listen. Here's why you're lying. Here's how you're lying. When I present my own personal first-hand evidence, you say, "Well, you would have to be there." And so, yeah, because here's how you're lying, and you're a hypocrite too. Because when I present my own first-hand personal evidence, the experiment, the observation that I personally did, I took these pictures, I hiked to that mountain peak. You're disregarding it and saying, "Well, you'd have to be there, and since you weren't there, then it doesn't matter." But then you start quoting people that you've never even met about experiments that they didn't even do in France. So do you see the hypocrisy there?
Hang on. You presented your experiment. I'd have to repeat that myself, be in your location to do that, to say, yeah, that is indeed a phenomenon that's happening. Okay?
But see, that's the hypocrisy. Your counter.
Go up to the top of Mount Fuji,
my knowledge and my experience. That's never going to happen.
Jin, go up to the top of Mount Fuji. Jin, go up to the top of Mount Fuji. There's
I've been there 14 times.
Fine, and go up there again and do his observations.
All you have to do is all you have to do, Jin, is make a water pipe level and calibrate it and simply measure.
I don't need to do that.
But see, you're such a hypocrite. You disregard first-hand evidence, and then you say you don't have to do it because people in France did it.
I don't need to do that. Yeah.
Of course not, because it would disprove your religion.
Because you don't care one bit about the truth, do you?
He already knows.
He doesn't do.
He already knows. He already knows exactly what's going to happen. That's why he's going to cut you off and say he won't do it, and he doesn't need to.
Now, hey, Jin, what if instead of presenting my own evidence, I just says, "Oh, I don't need to do a test because I already know"? Wouldn't you kind of
Please bring me visuals. Just bring me visuals. This is not visuals.
Don't bring him data. Just bring him visuals.
Bring me visuals.
Yeah, do his research for him.
Yeah.
All I got is
do your own research.
All I have is a 2-pound super chat by Turingstein number 2 with 2-pound super chat saying, this is a very important message that he typed. The Earth is a globe. Boom! Thank you, Turingstein. And I repeated the notification because I like more cowbell. Thank you, sir.
And Jin, here's how you're lying. You said there was no curvature to be seen, and there is. But just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it's not there.
I know it's not there.
Wait. What would curvature look like? Really quick. Jim, what would curvature look like?
Don't ask
that's a good question. What would you expect to see? What would curvature look like?
I recognize curvature on a woman's buttocks. Recognize curvature.
All right, so if you ran your finger, good. If you ran your finger along that woman's breast, would it be hidden? Would it be hidden by the curvature of the breast?
Female curvature body. I can recognize curvature. Yeah. Do you think?
Would your finger be hidden by the curvature of her breast?
Don't ask me such a dumb question, sir.
Okay, so no, just could you answer? What would curvature look like if you were to see it?
It would look like what I recognize when I see a woman's breast.
Okay, so things would be hidden by it if you ran your finger over it?
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, those old birds have flapjacks for breasts, and it's kind of those aren't really round.
Right.
Flapjack breast is.
There's an image on the Daily Boom. There's an image on the Daily Boom that Blue Marble Science shared of the spherical Earth, just for Eugene.
Oh yeah.
Boom.
How about that, Jen? Is that curvature? Of course.
You guys agree flat isn't horizontal, right? But can I have horizontal without flat?
Well, it depends on how you go redefine the dictionary to use your
I'll be
secret
back in 2
definitions.
minutes.
Yes, the answer is yes. You can have something that's horizontal and not flat. Yes, you can.
Using standard definitions.
Without flat,
You
I'm
can also
saying.
have something that is flat and not horizontal, like a wall is flat but it's vertical.
And I want to answer the question, what causes the apparent junction of the sky and the land? One word, sphere. But the question is malformed. Yeah, it's like trying to ask a Jeopardy question, right? It causes.
The question isn't malformed. The definition of horizon.
Let me
the
help
definition
you
of horizon.
without interrupting.
The definition of the
I haven't
horizon.
talked very much. I gotta go. So just take a breath and listen for a second. The way Alex Trebek would ask the question is you present it as an answer. So it causes the apparent junction of the sky and earth. And you want people to say, what is the horizon? See, that's how you play Jeopardy.
Horizon's just an optical limit. It's just a very easy question regarding the horizon. If anybody understands the definition of horizon, it's the apparent junction of the sky and ground. So what is the cause of that? Is it due to optics or due to physical nature of the Earth curve? You said it's not optics, and you said it's Earth sphere. Awesome, great answer.
So what? I don't. This is a non.
So, gentlemen,
this is just your way to
exactly how I predicted. Exactly how I predicted. Once we start talking about the horizon and for fraction, that's when the flat earthers will jump in. But when we talk about airplane flights and the distance and the time between them in the southern hemisphere, everyone goes quiet.
If there's no curve, we can figure everything else out in the future. There's no curve. Horizons are simply optical limits based on angular compression, which results in foreshortening, where you can no longer see the waves in the background from those in the foreground. And thank you for interrupting me. You just jumped in.
Yeah, Doctor.
Well, that's just being
you do that to everybody.
Foreshortening is. It's stupid. Come on.
Foreshortening is just when the angles over the surface become too narrow to visibly see the waves in the background as separate from those in the foreground. It's really simple.
Ridiculous.
Wait, let Gary. Guys, let Gary say what he has to say. Go ahead. So just whenever you're done, Gary, you got to stop so someone can respond. Go ahead, Gary.
Okay. Well, I will stop, but if you guys keep interrupting, I can't finish. And he likes to just jump in and just put his little smart-ass remarks in all the time. Foreshortening or just angular compression is just
your own.
No, it's just simply the place. We all see the ground appears to slant upwards towards our eye level. We all acknowledge that, right? You have a different reason for it than we do, but we all acknowledge that's what it looks like, right? So what it is the angles to the surface, because if you point to the surface right in front of you, and then you point to the surface somewhere farther ahead of you, your arm goes up towards eye level, right? So that's the reason why it's placed that way in your field of view. Now, the foreshortening part is when the angle over the waves becomes too narrow to identify the waves behind the foreground waves as separate, because there's not enough angle over the waves. Then we also have waves in the distance they appear to become smaller in apparent size, right? Not actual size, because I have to say that, otherwise somebody will say, oh, Gary believes the waves actually become small. No, they just appear small because of the angles subtended to the eyes. Now, you also have the space between waves. So the space between waves is also getting smaller as with distance, as well as the wave getting smaller, the space between them gets smaller, and the angle over them becomes too narrow to identify waves anymore in the background from the foreground, and it just appears as a line across your field of view, center frame, when you're looking 90 degrees from your perpendicular.
Okay, great. Things get smaller as they go away, and compression, angular, whatever. All right, now let's talk about these.
More importantly, you missed the main function.
Hold on, I wasn't done.
You missed the main function. The main function is the apparent horizon. The main function you
Great.
missing your
Okay.
the main function.
Just keep
that you're
going,
to
dude. He said he wasn't done.
Man, God dang, let me get the mute button now.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Hey Gary,
So yeah,
this one's for
rising
you.
apparent junction. So all right, got it. Now let's move on to these Southern Hemisphere flights. So we have a flight from Johannesburg.
Let's just hand wave that one away, even though you can't show otherwise.
Okay,
We'll just hand wave
you
that.
got it.
The fact that there's no
Yeah, because
curve.
you don't want to talk
We'll
about any.
pretend
Yeah,
there's
because you don't
curve.
want to talk. Oh, God.
Yes,
You don't
because
wanna
if
talk about
there's no
anything else.
curve, there's
Yeah.
no ball.
Just like-
There's no ball, so there's no curve. It's really simple. We can figure out all
Except
the
that
other
there is
things.
curve.
We can figure out miles to these things. We can figure
Okay,
it all
that's
out
enough
in the
out of you.
future,
That's enough.
and we
That's
will.
enough. We've shown you
shut up.
we've shown you specific observations that you can do yourself of objects due to perspective twice as high as the ones in the foreground, and they are twice as high and twice as far
Danik,
away. They should
They
be
don't
in line.
line
We don't
curves,
see them
Danik,
in
you're
line.
already on
We see the
record.
further
Not there,
object that
Danik,
is
you're already on record.
significantly below the snow line. And you're
Danik,
talking over
you're
me
already
as
on
you usually
record.
do. That's what you do.
Danik, you're already on.
You get
Danik,
threatened,
you're already
you
on
get a little
record.
easy, and then you start talking over me. Stop doing it.
Danik, you're already on record saying that human beings experience a flat and motionless Earth, right? So at what point do they not experience that?
Look, I was in the middle of a sentence. You didn't need to bring up that nonsense. I've already said it in the second breath. I then talked all about the instruments to show yourself the curvature in the form of horizon drop.
It's not on the ground, Zanuck. You claim that it's more evident up in the sky.
The point was the other knucklehead was
said
talking
it's
about
evident
how
up in the sky there,
everything
Zanuck.
is compression and foreshortening. No, we can take simple measurements. Forget about refraction. Go to the mountains. Look at mountains of known heights. Look at ones that are twice as high as the ones in the foreground, and look how they don't align up. The only reason they don't align up, where the background mountains, which are twice as high, are below the foreground mountains, is because we have a curved surface that we live on. Those altitudes are correct. 14,000. Oh, hey, don't interrupt me a second. Hold on. 14,000 feet to 6,000 feet, yet the 14,000 foot mountain, twice as far away, due to perspective, should be above it, yet is below it. There's nothing you can say or do or talk about foreshortening or compression that explains that. There's no refraction either, because refraction in that situation would actually make your problem worse because the atmosphere is denser as you go down. End of story. Just don't be such an idiot, everybody. My God.
I have two little model pickups sitting on a table by me, and I can put on a picnic table. Now, the one is about twice as big as the other. Now, I can put the big one in the front and move it away, and it'll drop below the one in the front. It'll look smaller. It'll
Only
as
when
it goes forward
more than
across the
twice as
table.
far away. Only when
I barely
it is
even have to
more
move
than
it,
twice
and it
as
drops
far
below
away.
that. It
What part of
drops
that
below the
don't you
visible
understand?
angles.
What part of that?
It's weird
what
that
part
the
of
sun doesn't
brain
do
does
that.
not get what I'm telling you?
It's
Some
weird
part
that the
you don't
sun doesn't
understand
get
that things
smaller.
that move away will start to appear smaller.
Yeah,
Angle size goes down directly proportional
the thing
to
in the
distance.
foreground will
I'm
seem to
talking.
remain the same size.
Hey.
Why does the
Directly
sun do that?
proportional, directly proportional to distance. Angular size goes down directly proportional to distance. If you line up your
No,
little
things
truck,
aren't proportional, actually.
directly proportional to distance. Directly.
No, they're not, because you
That's how
have different
perspective
angles to the
works.
bottom and the
Yes.
top. Your angles to the bottom and the top
Yes.
are not the same.
They angular size goes down directly proportional to distance. Write
Actually
it down.
doesn't. I
You don't
got
remember.
videos to
Yes.
show otherwise.
Well, that's no.
I got
You
3
can't show
rubber band
anything
videos
otherwise.
you guys
All
can
you can
watch.
show is that you failed third grade math. So here we go. Real
I
quick,
got 3
go
rubber
find it.
band
Go
videos that
find-
show
go
that the
find
angles
your- go
are
find
not
your little
equal
truck.
at all
Go
points on
find
an
your
object
truck.
moving away
Go
from
find the
you.
truck that has a center point at the beginning of the middle of the truck. Find another truck, hit its middle point, and if one's twice as tall as the other, you have to go twice as far away, and it will be totally level top to top. That's how perspective works.
Why doesn't the sun get smaller as it goes away?
It does.
Actually, it does. We played it on Jose's show.
Proportionally?
Wolfie's,
No.
Wolfie
With
has
the-
a
with the
video.
flatter, on the flat
It
Earth.
does. It does. You haven't seen it. That's all.
That's
Yeah,
BS. Total BS.
Wolfie's video was overexposed a little bit too, and then the exposure went down.
No, he
Wasn't
had a
big.
solar filter. He had a solar filter, and he even said it does.
Well,
And so did Bob the Science Guy.
bring
It
up
spreads
radios.
vertically
Not
as
at the
it
rate.
gets nearer to the horizon.
Not anywhere
as
close
it's
to the rate
compressing
you
into your
make a
visual
flat Earth
angle
myth
at center
true.
frame.
Not anywhere near the amount of change in angular size that
How
to
much
make
would you
your flat
expect
Earth
something
true.
a half a degree and far away to change?
That's a fallacy you're carrying. Huey.
I'm
Again,
sorry, it
another
just
fallacy.
It's a half a degree and it's
Try
far
again.
away. How much would you expect it to change in your visual field?
From noon to sunset?
You're
or
denying
noon-
the perspective that you're invoking. It
No,
happens
that it's
shrinking
You
far
want to
away.
think-
Things
one point you
close
invoke
change
perspective
much
and then
quicker than
deny
things far
perspective.
away that have already that have already changed drastically.
You're contradicting yourself.
Plus, you
No,
don't even
I'm
know how
not.
far
The sun is far away. And when you see it moving away, it's only a half a degree.
Terrific.
Right? How
You
much
don't
would
know
you
how
see?
far the sun
How
is,
much would you
admittedly.
expect it to change? But it does change. Even Wolfie and Bob the Science Guy both say it does.
Not anywhere near as much as you need it to make the flat Earth
How much
anymore.
would you expect it to change?
You don't even know how far the sun is, dude.
No, you
Or
don't know
what
what
it
it
is.
is. You don't even know what it is. No one does.
The sun is the sun. Nobody really knows what it is.
Yes,
Exactly.
Hold on.
No, you
Didn't I
don't.
say
You don't know
Yes,
what
you
it
do,
is.
Jen.
No,
Oh my
you
God.
don't.
It's
No,
a light that
you
brings
don't.
heat in life.
That's a light that brings. Yeah, you don't know anything about the sun.
Everything is about
It's a light that
speculation.
brings
there.
heat.
I'm going to start muting
Sorry.
Not
everybody.
that
Give me
much.
one
That's
second.
basic,
Give me
of course,
one
but what-
second.
Sorry.
Give me 1 second. What did I say earlier? Exactly what I said was going to happen happened. Gary was going to come in here and automatically invoke Bob the Science Guy and Wolfie's video to try and explain the sun changing in angular size top to bottom.
It does change, doesn't it? Is that a
Not-
change in angular size when the size doesn't stay the same?
Predict
When the
that the
size
only
doesn't
time you
stay
were
the same, is that a
jumping-
change in angular size?
The only
Not
time
if
you
it's
were-
not narrower, right to left.
It
Right,
changes
left.
vertically. Is that a change in angular size?
No,
Or do you
it's a-
only have things horizontal change in angular size?
it's a
It
change
has
in
to-
aspect
If it
ratio,
changes
it's not a change
size,
in
it
size.
changes angular size, right?
And
Gary, let's go
for a known reason.
Does it?
Refraction.
Yeah, because I know what the reason is. You don't. You call it refraction. That's bullshit. You know that, right?
What's the reason, Gary? What's the reason?
I'm
for
sorry, what?
exchange?
You're
The
muffled.
medium is doing it. As it
What's
moves away
the
from us.
reason for exchange, Gary? What's the reason?
You're muffled. I can't hear you very good.
What is the reason? What's the reason for the change in angular size of the sun?
Oh, because it's compressing into your field of view at center frame, and that's got a limit.
I love the
And so
gibberish.
then also the angle is going to take you into atmosphere, so you're going to get several effects that are going to cut off the
anything but
bottom.
except reality. You'll just
That's
literally
right. We
any
see
amount
it
of
shrinking
gibberish.
vertically before it even reaches the horizon.
Dude, you're a
so
complete
you'll
dope.
claim
Just
anything.
stop it. God, it's so annoying.
We gotta read a super chat. We gotta read a super chat over here. It's the biggest super chat I get in today. $10 by Ben the Light. Thank you very much, sir. We experience no book from flat Earth data. It does not exist. You have a beautiful, perfectly fine point. Exactly. Thank you, Ben the Light. Question. Extra J did a 1 quadrillion scale model of the Earth, and Polaris for you, Gary, and you're still confused by it. Boom.
Oh no, I'm not confused at all. If you take a telescope, right, you aim it at Polaris, get it right in the center. If you just take that telescope and slide it laterally without changing the angle of the barrel of the scope, just it keeps parallel with the previous spot, it will no longer be aimed at Polaris with just a simple move of 12 inches, right, to get out of your scope's view. But the ball earthers think that we can orbit the sun all the way to the other side of the sun, 186 million miles to the other side of the sun, and that our telescopes will still be aimed at Polaris.
Do you know
That's
the
just
distances?
ridiculous.
Are you aware of the distances?
We're aware
Yes,
of it, mate, more than
186
you
million
are.
miles.
you're not.
Polaris
No,
is
you're not. How
about
far is it?
44 million
How
miles in
far-
diameter, which would
how
be
far
4
is it?
diameters of Polaris to the other side. The tilt, supposedly it lines up with the tilt, but the tilt tilts away when it gets to the other side, right? So the tilt is not even pointing anymore at Polaris in your model, but you guys claim it's so far away that the parallel lines will
All right,
somehow
let someone
merge.
respond, Gary. Let someone respond, Gary. I can't believe you're making this argument again. I made an entire video showing how you were completely wrong about this.
Okay, have
Why
you
are you
lined
still
up a
making this
telescope and then
argument?
moved it laterally?
Gary, all you got to do is realign
Have
the
you
telescope.
done that,
realign the
B-ball?
camera.
Have you
Yes,
done it,
I have.
B-ball? And
Okay,
what
Gary,
happened?
check this out.
What
Check this
happened?
out. You're
Tell
looking
everybody
at-
what happened
wait,
then, if
stop.
you actually
I'm
did
gonna-
it.
I'm gonna- Okay.
You gonna
Let's
mute
say
me?
we're looking at if we're looking at a building, right? That's like 20 miles away, and you step 3 or 4 feet to the left. Are you pointing in a different direction?
Okay, if I get that, let's say I take a window on that building and I center it
Answer
right in
the
the middle of my
question, Gary.
Hold it, B-ball.
Answer-
You
don't
want an
answer the
explanation. Now
question.
let me
No,
explain without
answer-
interruption,
don't ask me
please.
a question.
Gary, don't ask me another
You just
question. I want
you
to
just
answer
you
the
asked
question.
me a question. I was answering it. Now you interrupted because
No,
you
you're
don't like
not.
where I'm
You're
going.
gonna ask me
Are
another
you
question.
answering that question, Gary? If you're answering the question that people ask you, go ahead, answer it. I hope
I
you're not
was.
answering
He
a
wanted to
different
know
question.
how much it would move.
No,
And I'm saying if
he's
you
gonna
look through a
ask me another
telescope,
question.
you make sure one of those windows in that building is dead center. You slide that telescope over laterally. Will that window be dead center in the telescope?
Gary, if you bump the telescope, no, it's not gonna be lined up the same. That's how you line up things. What are you trying to say? Because you
My
moved
point
it, you
is,
missed
Polaris is a dot of light. Polaris is a dot of light. You can't. You got a zoom. Your telescope already has a built-in zoom to it, right? It's already has a long focal length, so you have a very minimum amount of sky because it's focusing in on a small piece of space. If you slide that
Gary
telescope
doesn't
over
know
6
the
inches,
difference
it's not
between
going to be lined
division
up
and angle.
anymore. And if you, but you guys think we can move all the way to the other side of the sun and still have it lined up? You guys are
how
crazy.
far away?
Gary, what's the
Gary,
parallax to Polaris?
That's a good question.
Gary, lay a pencil
what is
down
it?
on the table. Lay a pencil down on the table and point it towards something. Then roll it sideways 6 inches and see if the pencil is still pointed toward the same thing it was pointed at.
Okay, let's say I have a pencil. I set a pencil vertically
Gary,
up on my
before you
fence
go on
post.
with your rant,
Hold it.
No,
Blue wants an answer to his question. Are you guys going to interrupt?
The Polaris is 5.7 milli-arc seconds. How much is that?
I don't give a shit. You can't move your telescope. And Bob, you've got a telescope. If you line up your telescope, can you move it? Could you move it laterally 6 inches if it's aimed right dead center with Polaris and still have it lined up with Polaris?
That's why you realign it when you move it.
That's a ridiculous straw man, and I'm not going to.
Why is that a straw man, Bob?
The parallax.
Bob, why is that a straw man?
Is 5.7 milli-arc seconds.
Bob, you're trying to obfuscate everybody. You're trying to confuse them and baffle them with bullshit. What would happen? Just answer my simple question. It's not a silly question. If I took the telescope and pointed it right at Polaris, dead center in my scope, I'm looking through the thing, it's dead center. Now I leave the barrel the same. I just laterally move it 6 inches. Is it still lined up dead center with Polaris?
Go ahead and tell me how much it's off, Gary.
His name is Dr. Bro, by the way.
Would it be dead? I don't have to tell you the measurement. Would it be dead center, Bob? Answer the question. Are you afraid? See, Bob won't answer the question because he knows what the answer is.
Gary, you're talking over
Bob's going to try to bullshit everybody, baffle you with bullshit by saying he's going to give some measurement, but he knows what's going to happen if it slides that telescope over laterally. It will no longer be lined up dead center with Polaris.
Of course it won't. How much will it be off, Gary?
Of course it won't. Thank you. Thank you. Of course it won't.
How much would it be off, Gary? Can you measure
How
that?
much is that angle? How much does that angle change for me? It's so slight that we can move to the other side of the sun and it still lines up.
It doesn't line up. It's 5.7 milli-arc seconds off. It's different. That's how we tell the distance to Polaris. It's called parallax, stellar parallax.
Bob, it's not going to remain centered, right? If you move, you just slide it laterally, leave everything else the same. The barrel would be parallel to the previous point.
Why do you think that's
it won't be centered, will it? With a slight move like that, it will no longer be centered in your scope, will it?
A very tiny amount of parallax. Now, the parallax to Polaris.
Well, how can something so far away have a little bit of enough parallax to mess up your scope?
Gary,
it's not
just
far away.
start
Is the reason.
talking and listen and learn something for a change. The difference in parallax between one side of our orbit and the other is 5.7 milli-arc seconds or so, as I recall off the top of my head. That's 5.7 1,000th of an arc second. Isn't it amazing that we can measure that, Gary?
Isn't it amazing that just barely sliding your telescope laterally will take it out of your telescope?
It will not take it out of your telescope.
Now you're lying.
Sure it will. Sure it will.
No, it will not. Have you ever done it?
It won't be dead center, will it, Bob?
Gary,
between slightly off center.
Your claim is that it'll go out of the telescope. My answer.
Bob, you're the same guy who believes you have to steer your car to adjust for Coriolis. Why would anybody believe a word you say?
You claim that by rolling the telescope over, it'll go completely out of the telescope frame point of view. That's not the
I said
case.
it'll move out of dead center. If you move it over 12 inches, depending on the size of your telescope, the lens of your telescope, it might still be on the edge.
Answer the question. Have you ever used a telescope, Gary?
Yes. And it's very sensitive when you point at
you can sit down
specific
and roll
stars,
the
isn't it, Bob?
telescope on a table, and Polaris will go out of the field of view.
Hey, Bob. Telescopes are very sensitive, aren't they, for direction, pointing at stars, aren't they? Slightest movement changes everything, doesn't it?
I'm just ripping your argument apart. You will not roll.
Oh, really, Bob? Are you? Are you?
Feet to the fire. Feet to the fire.
In the recesses of your dark mind, Bob, you think you are, but you're not. You know good and well that you can't just slide that barrel over a mere 6 inches and have it.
So basically,
this was getting personal. The half of the comments that Gary was talking is just personal attacks. Let's move on. Let's talk about the arguments.
That's all he has, Jose.
Yeah, let's go to arguments on hand, and let's stop personal attacking. We're not gonna do that anymore. Let's talk about the topics. And
is there a video of this?
I need Gary's help with something here.
You're not gonna get anywhere, honestly.
And Gary's avoiding me. Hey,
Gary
Gary,
just doesn't have the capability of having a conversation because he just doesn't know enough about subjects to converse on them.
Hey, Gary, are you there?
Well, I know that you can't center Polaris in your telescope and slide it over 6 inches
Sure you
and
can.
still have it centered. No, you
Can we
can't.
see evidence?
Not without readjusting the line of sight. You would have to readjust the whole line of sight.
Absolutely.
Because it wouldn't remain in the center of your telescope if you slid it laterally. Just admit it, Bob.
It's a matter
Just
of
admit
scale,
it.
Gary. How wide?
What's that got to do with scale?
In your telescope?
What's that got to do with scale, Bob? According to you, it's so far away that it wouldn't change.
That's right.
Okay, guys, wait.
What Bob, can you at least admit it wouldn't be?
What does it have to do with scale? Gary asked. Bob, go ahead.
All right, I'll be happy to tell him. Now,
please.
If you line up Polaris in your telescope on the crosshairs and you roll the telescope 6 inches over, Polaris will still be exactly in the crosshairs because the width of those crosshairs is far greater than the parallax caused by 6 inches. You will not be able to tell, see, or measure a difference. That's why we use.
Are you sure you've looked through a telescope?
Absolutely. And that's why we have to use the entire orbit of the planet. And you're interrupting me, you rude fuck. Watch yourself.
Okay, and you don't interrupt
You're
ever.
You're talking to me. Watch yourself.
Oh, and you're the boss then. Well, I know you're an alpha to blue, but that's okay. You're not an.
It is his turn to talk, and it was just a few seconds, not even a minute, and you were interrupting. Just allow him to finish his point, and then you can answer him, Gary.
It's a very nice conversation I was having. I was explaining it to him, and he just couldn't help himself, Jose. So, just watch when you talk to me, Gary.
Okay, because you're the boss, Blue. I mean, Bob or Blue. I don't know. You guys are the same.
That is the first thing that comes to your mouth is just little snarky personal comments. Wow, this is the time for me to read. Super chat by Tommy Grumble with 100 Nokias. Thank you very much, Tommy. I appreciate that. And he said, go make a drawing, Gary. Gary, try to avoid it too. Personal little snarky, being smartest comments. Avoid that.
He was making snarky, smart-ass comments to me, too.
Here's the way you do it.
Why don't you address them, or does he pay you too much money on the side?
1 second. Here's the way you do it. Right? What you do is you take your finger off the push-to-talk and then curse as much as you want at them and then reassume. Okay? So no one has to listen to it. Right?
I heard a curse word come out of Bob's mouth towards me.
Gary, I just built a forward scatter radar in my garage and measure.
I need to address a point, Bob. Very important point. Very important point, Bob. Very important point. Gary say, I don't know how much he pays you on the side. I don't know if you're talking about Bob, the science guy. If my memory is correct, Bob, the science guy, I am not that sure, but I am 25% sure that he once gave me like a $2 super chat in all my years on YouTube and in my personal life and everything related, all the connection that Bob and I has. I think there's been maybe a $2 exchange like 3 years ago. Thank you, Bob, for the $2 that you have paid me once in the past 5 years that we know each other.
Now I
the
feel
least I can do, Jose. The least I can do.
You're a cheap
No, Bob, the least you could do is nothing. You went above and beyond.
I know he did. That's awesome. But
Yeah,
Gary
but you
saying,
see-
who knows how much money he gave me on the side? Well, once he gave me like $2, that's good. Oh yeah.
Props to
Yeah, but you
Dr.
see, what
Bro.
you always
Wait
do
a
is you
minute.
always give somebody a raise 2 weeks before you fire them, so it hurts more.
Jesus. You got to do
I love it.
Why didn't I get $3?
Really quick. So Gary,
Why would
Gary's
anybody do
entire
that?
Gary's entire argument is that if we're looking at something through a camera or a telescope and we just bump it or move it to the left or right, that it's not going to be aligned anymore. Well, no shit, man. No shit.
Well, Bob just said it does.
I'm not done.
Bob said
I
it would
wasn't
remain
done.
in the center of the
Actually, no.
crosshair.
What I
the
said,
camera.
Gary, was it would change, but it would remain in the center because the thickness of the crosshairs is too great to overcome.
Oh my gosh. You said it would remain in the center of the crosshairs, Bob.
It will
Play
remain
it
in the
back.
center of the
You said
crosshairs.
it.
It changes a little bit because the parallax is too small to be measured with those crosshairs.
And
Oh
Gary,
my
why
gosh.
do you
It
think
would
that's some
completely
sort of
jump to the
argument?
side if you only moved a couple inches. If you moved 12 inches, it would disappear off your screen.
Okay,
Can we see
why do
evidence
you
of
think
that,
that's an
please?
argument? I don't even
All you
understand
got to
why
do
it's
is,
an
if
argument.
you have a telescope, do it.
That's what
You
I've
will find
done.
out I'm
One set
correct.
up right now, Gary.
Gary hasn't done it. So
Wait, Gary.
Yes,
Why,
I've used my telescope many times. I've looked at Polaris. I've looked at other stars.
Gary, why is that an argument? Please explain to me why you think that is a some sort of argument against parallel light rays from Polaris.
And if what you said,
The
is
other
true,
guy saying
please
that-
tell him.
I'm
Please
sorry.
tell him.
I'm sorry. What did you say? I realized I was muted.
And if what you say is true, Gary, can you tell me, please, how celestial navigation could ever work on any kind of surface, flat,
perspective
circular, or
angles.
otherwise?
It's just
How could that
perspective
ever
angles.
work? Because what you're
It-
saying is the angle.
Blue, can I put you in the middle of the ocean and can you take an
Shut up,
angle
Gary.
measurement?
Hey, Gary.
I don't think you was finished, Gary. Stop it.
I'm asking a simple question because what you're implying is that the azimuth and the altitude of a celestial object is going to change if you move over 6 inches. Are you fucking nuts? Now I'm done.
Yeah, he is, Blue. But that's all they got.
Oh, does that by
the one thing,
extension mean that we're nuts for talking to him?
Earth is life. He's talking about something different than you are. You're talking nudging it and rotating it on its axis. Yes, it will fall out of screen if you rotate it on its axis, either vertically or horizontally. However, if you move it laterally or vertically, if I just take the whole telescope, lift it up 1,000 feet in the air, and I will still have the exact same angle that I had before to Polaris. I can go
No, it won't.
10,000 feet, and I will get the same
No, it
exact
won't.
angle.
It will.
You have
No,
to.
it won't. No, it will not.
The
It's
only
too small to
way,
measure with a
the
crossover.
only way
Oh my
it would be out of
gosh.
line. The only way it would be out of line is if Polaris was really, really, really close to Earth.
Well, that's why it gets out of line because it
So
is
how
close.
close
Get a
is
bubble
it?
sextant and a normal
It
sextant.
doesn't get out of line, Gary.
How close is it then?
It does, Bob. If you do what B-Ball just said, you just put it. Let's say you just put it on an elevator that goes straight up, right? You point it at Polaris, center it in the middle. Now you go straight up with that. It does nothing on the telescope moves.
So
Just
far away,
straight up.
it won't.
It will not be
in the
pointed at
focus.
Polaris when it's 1,000 feet up in the air.
Gary,
Yeah, it won't change a bit. It
can I
won't
ask a
change
quick
a bit because the crosshairs are too thick to measure any difference in parallax.
Oh my God! It won't even be in your scope.
Gary,
Okay,
Gary,
I'd like
of
to
course
this.
it will.
I would like to see that demonstrated.
Go do this, Green. Go do it for yourself and prove.
Please.
I have a scope, and yes, I've tried. I pointed at stars. If you slide it over, it will not remain lined up.
Your testimony is fine, but I need evidence. We need evidence for that. If you
Okay,
could,
well, Bob knows I'm right. He knows it moves.
Okay.
He's gone from
No,
admit,
no,
from
it's
saying it
not.
stays
No,
dead center
don't think he does.
crosshairs. Now he's saying, well, it moves a little
that
bit. You
only
can't
happens
tell.
for things.
It's like
That only
Coriolis.
happens for
I've never
things really
changed my
close.
story at all, Gary. You just didn't
Like
listen to it the
Coriolis.
first time.
You
That only-
can't
that only
measure
takes-
it. You can't show you adjusted for it, but somehow it exists.
It is not
So,
going
okay.
to move, Gary. It's not going to change. The angle is going to be exactly.
Blue, if you lift your telescope up without
Will you
changing
stop it,
anything on the
Gary?
telescope, it won't stay lined up.
Gary, celestial
it
navigation
will.
could possibly work if what you said is true.
Because they will take a bubble sextant or something and go and measure it from that way and create a new horizon that will
Let's,
keep it the same.
let's move on.
But you
because I don't
can't.
think anyone
But your
has a
measurement in
demonstration.
relation, Polaris will move out of your scope if you
will
went
not.
straight at
Let
it.
me say something really quick.
Oh my gosh!
Movement.
You realize how sensitive a telescope is?
You realize
I got a
that
question
Not
for you, Gary.
sensitive enough to tell the
saying
parallax from 1,000 feet, Gary.
Gentlemen, really quick. So
Bob,
if you had, let's say
it
you
would
had
change. It would not be. It would no longer be
let's
lined
say
up with Polaris if you went up
You
1,000 feet
only
without
way that
changing
would
anything
hold
else.
on, wait,
You just went up vertical.
let's say you had your telescope on a rail system, right? Like a railroad track or some sort of slider.
Yes, that's good.
And
That's
you were
fine.
pointed it at a star. If you slid it 6 feet to the left, and it's still going to be pointing at that star.
That's bullshit. Now,
It's not gonna say- we're
let's
reiterating.
ask Jose a question with his
We are
P900.
reiterating now. Can we
Have
move
you ever
on?
pointed at a star with your P900 zoomed in? What happens? It's hard to keep it in the center of your
That's
frame,
not
isn't
bullshit.
it? Because the slightest movement shoots it off the screen.
Yeah,
Same way with a telescope.
That's because you're looking up, down, left, right.
Let's revisit this when someone has
Oh,
evidence to back up the claim. Thank you.
I think there's evidence to back up the claim that if you use a bubble sextant, no matter your elevation, your altitude, you get the same angle, so it's parallel.
Yeah, because you're basically like lifting up the whole thing is what you're doing. That's all.
Question. I can answer it if you allow me to, Gary. With my P900, when I attempt to take pictures and videos of a star, it is super difficult for me because I don't have a good tripod. The tripod doesn't have a tracking option, so I have to zoom in. I try to catch the star in a corner of the screen, so it moves across. So it appears to move across the screen. It is really hard. So I know that it's a lot easier with a telescope because of the tripods and the systems that you connect to the computers to track the stars. So yes, it is very difficult with a P900, but with a telescope, with a good actual tracking tripod, it is very easy.
Yeah, I can get 5
And the
minutes.
reason it's hard, is because the slightest movement changes the line of sight. Same way, if you move, you change the entire line of sight if you slide the telescope over.
Why would it not cut me off?
Yeah, I answered
I
the
can
question.
get 5-minute exposures of a point star with my telescope because my tracking mount compensates for the rotation of the Earth, and it's a stable mount. The problem that you run into is as you take a time exposure of a star, the Earth is rotating, and it'll cause it to streak. So that's the answer to that, Gary. It has to do with the rotation of the Earth. You're confusing.
Well, that's
an
your
unstable
opinion,
mount.
and that's what you think in your model.
No, that's what
but
it is,
The
Gary.
same thing happens with
Already
circling stars, and you're in a stationary Earth. They
Stars
will
don't circle
move
overhead, though. That's
across
the
your
only problem with that.
screen.
Can I
And
try
you can
to-
track those.
Jose,
I want to
go.
try something. Yeah, I want to try something. There's a lot of people here that has some question, comments, or concerns. It's going to be difficult to get everybody, but Mel, bro, if you got a quick maybe question or comment or point, go ahead. Go for it, man.
Yeah, I sort of already said it that if you take a bubble sextant, you can get the same angle at the surface and at 13 kilometers in altitude. So the light comes in parallel. That's obvious and demonstrable.
Oh, good point.
Yeah, yes, I agree with that because you just lifted the horizon is all you did. You lifted it up to
parallel
same
lines,
with
parallel
your elevation.
lines.
That's all you did. You created a new one, an
45
artificial
degrees.
one,
No, the
to
zenith,
match the
hold on,
one that
hold
was
on,
on the
hold
ground.
on. No, the zenith angle is the same. It's just vertical. So I'm just moving vertically. So I have the same elevation angle from one vertical, but on different locations on that vertical. Don't need the horizontal for that.
So how far is Polaris if it isn't the distance we are told it is?
It's over there. It's over there.
Oh, over there? Okay, that settles it.
I think
Good
one
enough
thing
for
that's
me.
really funny is he thinks that
Hey,
this
Gary,
would happen
why don't
with
you-
Polaris.
I would like that question answered.
Gary, why don't you go ahead and
Hello?
impress us with your knowledge? What constellation is it in?
Wait,
What
two of you guys are
constellation
talking
is
at once.
Polaris
Hold on.
in, Gary? Where would I look for it? Come on, Gary. I want to see Polaris. What constellation do I look into?
Ooh, I know.
But I'm betting you Gary doesn't know. because he doesn't know shit about geometry, about
Okay,
mathematics.
somebody muted me, but it's the Little Dipper. It's the point that end star of the Little Dipper.
Is that the name of the constellation, the Little Dipper?
Is it correct, Bob, or do you need the precise Latin name or whatever? You know I'm right,
I know
right?
the name of the constellation.
Is it I don't need to know all the names of the constellation. Am I right?
No, you're not. It's an Ursa
Little
Major.
Dipper?
Or it's an Ursa Minor.
It's a minor, Bob.
It's in the bear.
You don't even know the name of it. You're chewing me out, and I have to correct you.
Ursa.
Ursa Minor, but we call it the Little Dipper. People call it the Little Dipper. You knew what I was talking about,
What
right,
is
Bob?
the Little Dipper?
Bob, did you know what I was talking about, or were you just being an
I
ass?
asked you for the constellation.
Ursa Minor would be like
Minor.
Bear.
Okay, I would like to know if Polaris is not the distance claimed. Can anyone tell me how far it actually is?
3 to 10,000 miles by triangulation.
There you go. I think Mojok Man,
123 parsecs.
Mojok Man, do you got a point that you want to make before we start moving on? Go ahead.
Just a quick question about a mountain. Gary, if you looked at a mountain that was like 100 miles away, how much do you have to turn your camera if you move it a foot? And this gets worse as things get even further away. I mean, or less as things get even further away. There'll be absolutely almost no perceivable change in that camera angle for 1 foot horizontally.
Yeah, you're talking about something close and small, yes.
That's at
But
100
if you took
miles.
this telescope, listen. If you took the telescope and you centered it on a certain point of that mountain, and then you moved your telescope up, would it still be centered on the same part of that mountain?
It'll be 1 foot to the right, imperceivably different change.
If you moved 1 foot, it would be more than 1 foot because it's compressed.
If you split it, if it didn't move to the left or right or up or down, right, and you just split it on a rail system to the left, yes, you'd still be pointing at the mountain.
Yeah, in a scale.
You'd be pointing at the mountain, but not the same point of the mountain. That's what you're missing.
There'd be no difference
You
at that
wouldn't
distance.
be able to perceive the distance. You wouldn't even be able to perceive how far
You put it
the
on a
crosshairs
slider.
would move.
You put on a slider 100 miles away. Are you kidding? There'd be no difference.
You'll never
No
see
difference at all.
Not even a pixel. Not even a tenth of a pixel.
Because it's compressed, and so you actually can't
Not
resolve
because
the
it's
difference.
compressed,
But
not because it's foreshortened or anything like
So
that.
you
okay, so
agree
it's
then,
not
right?
compressed when it's further in the
It gets
distance.
much.
Can you see
much
individual
worse when you
trees
look
on
at
a mountain
Polaris.
100 miles away?
No.
You understand the point.
Yeah, that's right. You can't.
No.
Ursa Major is the
So why
Big
do you
Dipper.
ask the
Ursa
question?
Minor is the Big Dipper, so you were close enough. Not that they're going to give us any love or credit.
Bob knew what I was talking about. He was just being an ass like he normally is. He knew exactly what I was talking about.
Remember, the point is to embarrass and fluster flat earthers, not act like they have any legitimate points.
All right, guys.
Which he just embarrassed himself when he called it Ursa Major.
We've been going on for, I don't know, I think it's 4 hours already. I got to wrap up the live show, but you guys can stay, have fun, and hang out. I want to encourage people on YouTube watching to click and join on Discord. If you want to just hang out here and participate, we're going to do a quick round of final thoughts. We need to get out of here. I'm going to share Bob's screen. You're setting. You go up in the final thoughts first. Or hold on. Who has to leave? Say me, and then you get out of here.
I gotta go out here let me go real quick, Jose. So this was a great show. Data came in and monologue like he always does. And of course, my prediction was correct. As soon as we started talking about the horizon and refraction and narrow angles, that's when Gary jumped in. And as soon as we started talking about plane flights in the southern hemisphere, nobody ever wants to talk about those. For some reason, those plane flights are a real sticker for flat earthers. I don't understand why they're so scared of them. Anyway, great show, Jose. I'll stick around when I get a chance. I can jump in.
Good looking out. Thank you very much, man, for helping out moderating and stuff. Hey, anybody have to get out of here? If not, we'll do a quick alphabetical order final thoughts. But because Bob is screen sharing first, and then Jesse, we get those two first. Bob, final thoughts. You are muted. Let's get Jesse Gordon with the final thoughts first.
Hey, Jose, great show. I have sharing on my screen, if Gary could look at that, some pictures I took, which is kind of my own black ball tower situation, except it's a mountain peak and then there's a ridge line in the background, in the distance. But this time, instead of having the camera near the ground like they did with the black ball tower, I had my camera almost 9,000 feet above sea level, which means I can scale this thing down to 1/5000th, and my camera will still be almost 2 feet above the ground. Isn't that beautiful? So Gary, if you could hang on a little after the show, I really need your help on knowing just how I can make a scale model of this that you will be pleased with. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Everybody, please be patient. If you are ask a question or comment or you got comments, wait for your turn for final thoughts. Let's try to do 30 seconds. If you got to take it up to a minute, please try not to, but let's do a quick round of final thoughts. Blue Marble Science, final thoughts.
Good show, Jose. Thanks. By the way, the Earth is a sphere. I checked. See ya.
Thank you. Thank you. Bro Alem. C4. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Hold on a second. I always ask me, always have final comments, right? When
Alem, go ahead.
Right when I have to go to the cash machine, like literally at the cash machine. Yeah, it's my turn. Okay, here's the sphere. Okay, bye.
Thank you. Very, very insightful. Chaik, final thoughts.
Good show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Discord user, you got a microphone already? Thank you for coming. Extra J, final thoughts.
Yeah, I wasn't here for most of the show, but Gary, if you would be willing to show us 2 telescopes exactly parallel, 6 inches apart, and both not pointed at Polaris, or one pointed at Polaris and the other one not, we would love to see that and have you prove your theory. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Flat Earth Data, final thoughts.
I'm going to sum it up as this. If you obey your senses, you'll end up thinking the Earth is flat. Thank you.
Thank you. Gary Waibenga, final thoughts.
Yeah, the globy mathematicians of old hijacked perspective compression and turned it into their imaginary curve. The geometry of vision is the globe's imaginary curve.
Thank you. Huge Janus, final thoughts.
Great show. That was a lot of fun. I do like the nervous laughter and the cheap point scoring. That's always a lot of that's always good. So yeah, great show. Thanks, I'll say, and chat with anyone who wants to afterwards.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. J Mac, final thoughts.
Thank you for the show, Jose. Another beautiful day on our beautiful spherical Earth. Thanks.
Thank you. I did a poll earlier. A poll is lemon is 2, whatever, as flat earth data is 2, and 3%, 30 people voted. 3% say again, 6% voted for apparent junction, 16% of the people voted is on my book, and 73% people of the 30 votes voted data, flat earth data is 2. Talk. Thank you very much for voting earlier. Sorry, I had to let that out. Gene, CBR1, final thoughts.
Yeah, thanks for the invite to the show. Another good show. I will say this. If you follow your senses, you will definitely be a flat earther without a doubt, because there is no single shred of evidence for the spherical ball Earth that we're supposed to live on. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Left Bro Lane, final thoughts.
Yeah, it came up earlier somewhere else. Do you observe curvature? And I have to say, I mean, just standing in your backyard, scratching your butt, I guess it looks flat. But if you pay attention, like things that I pay attention to, traveling across the desert and mountains growing out of the horizon, the sun observation, which you described earlier, the north and south celestial poles at 180 degrees from one another. I mean, many things that you can do that indicate a rotating sphere, like a rotating planet. So yeah, you do see effects of curvature all around. But anyway, it's a good show, Jose. Thanks for it.
Thank you very much. Luminiferous Ether, final thoughts. Mel,
can I take his place?
No, Mel Bro, go ahead. There's a lot of people. Gotta get up.
Yep.
it's a good show. I mean, obviously, when you're using the bubble sextant and you can get the same angle, then the sun and all the stars are so far away that the light comes in practically parallel. So no local sun. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mojok Man, final thoughts.
Good show. Had fun. Nothing more to say until the after show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. NASA Shield, final thoughts.
I'll take his place.
Criticis, final thoughts.
Flat. Yeah. Like a coin in front of a car. The light rays spread out and encapsulate more area above and below the coin. The level line of the theodolite is the same way. Eventually, a bunch of visual information on that mountain compress into the level line and appear deceptively to be level with the level line, but it's a false impression that you need to double check with a laser, since light rays spread from the source and give fake impressions to the eye.
Thank you very much. Slickweed, final thoughts. Snesley Wipes.
I'll take his place.
Dr. Bob, are you back for final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm streaming a demonstration of the curvature of the Earth as we speak. This is a forward scatter radar I built in my garage where I am now. So until flat earthers can do this, they won't be taken seriously.
We're taken seriously, don't you worry.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. It was an excellent, very successful show. For a small channel like mine, just slightly over 1,000 subscribers. We got 60 people watching earlier. I call that a total success. Just opening the doors for a party, a random hangout, and 60 people to show up. Hooray. Thank you very much, everybody in the voice chat. Thank you, everybody in the YouTube land. If you're watching this recorded or live right now, don't forget to leave a like. There's super thanks when the video is up and rendered on YouTube. You can support there. Check on the links on the description box on how to help. Share the show, and I'll catch you another day. Jose JG out. Boom. Thank you. Join Discord for the after show.